And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest Movie Mania live stream where we are talking about The Incredibles in the lead up to The Incredibles 2. Now, before I introduce my co-host, let me just say, if you have seen The Incredibles 2, because I know some people have, don't put any spoilers in the chat for people, because we don't want any spoilers yet, because I haven't seen it. I don't think any of the other co-hosts have seen it. But speaking of which, we have the man, the myth, the legend. We have Trilbee. How you going, Trilbee?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, The Incredibles 2, we don't get it till mid-July. So, but please, no spoilers. I think only members of the press have seen it, and maybe a couple of very lucky or exclusive individuals. So your spoiler-free discussion is massively appreciated. And yeah, hello to everybody in the chat. I wasn't just making coffee at the beginning of the live stream. It's my fault we're a couple of minutes late because myself and my partner, we've got a little mouse in the house. I saw it the other day when
Is that why you were thumping around so much? I was like, is he making coffee or what the hell's he doing? I'm just doing this.
Yeah, I got my mug and started trying to smack it, So I noticed it in the corner of the living room the other day, and we bought some humane mouse traps, which have got like bait in them. It goes into the mouse trap and it tilts backwards, which causes the door to shut, which traps the mouse. But I was the only one who had seen it. So after a couple of days, I was kind of doubting myself. Like, did I just dream that? Was that some caffeine-induced fever dream? And then while I was at the shops today, my partner rang me and was like, I've seen the mouse. And she's named him Monty. I have named him Smallmite. I think Smallmite is the better name.
Yeah, don't name it. Then you get attached to it.
No, we're already attached. But as I was getting coffee, I saw it duck behind the fridge. And we know it's definitely in the kitchen now. So the kitchen door is shut. The mouse traps are like cornered it, so it can't leave the side of the fridge without encountering the trap. So if you just hear like a ch-ch and me going yes, then that will be that. That will. So that was why the podcast is a little bit late. My fault. Blame Monty or Smallmite, whatever you want to call him. But that's why we're late. As I was getting coffee, I was moving the traps.
and if we hear a snap at any point in the podcast, then we just hear a girl in the background going.
Yeah, that's because Monty didn't make it.
That's why
Monty didn't make it. So yeah, he's a little small grey mouse who's really quick, really frigging quick.
Yeah, you know what's a good way to get rid of mice? I once lived in a place that was really infested. Really infested with mice, but every time you kill one, there's another 5 that you don't know about. So, like, we would just, no matter how many we caught, we put up the old school mouse traps, and we just hear this snap out of nowhere, and we're like, that's another dead one. We take it out, and snap, there's another one. They just kept coming. So eventually what we did is we just made a compost bin outside. You know, the big empty bins that are like cylinders without a bottom on it, and you just put it in there, you chuck vegetables, stuff like that. The mice just go there because it's a big pile of food. They don't even need to come in the house and look. It's fantastic. You put it in the backyard as far away from the house as you can, and they'll never bother you. And they dig little tunnels in the compost. So when you undo the lid to dip more in, you see them run into the holes, and you just dump more like vegetable peelings in there. And there you go. Welcome to the Mouse Hunt live stream where we're going to chat.
The Mouse Hunt podcast. Well, a few years ago, in my old house,
let's look at the latest podcast, the latest product for the capturing of mice.
Well, I can
sure
give
everyone's thrilled.
I can give a negative review to like the Big Cheese group. The Big Cheese is the name of a company that does mousetrap products in the UK. They did like a big because back in my old house we knew that there were mice in the garage eating potatoes because we used to keep potatoes in there. They'd chew through the sack and eat potatoes, and we knew that there was a load of them in there. So we put a big humane mousetrap in there, which is essentially they go in and it's like a maze, and you can trap multiple ones in there. We knew that the traps were triggered and that the bait was being eaten, but the mice were somehow escaping. So my family were like, okay, we'll just get the actual snap, the cliche mouse traps which smack down and kill them. But they wanted to do that, but they didn't want the responsibility of cleanup. Oh no, that was me. And I saw a lot of mouse corpses. I saw a lot of mouse brain. Oh boy.
Mouse brain, really?
Oh yeah, because when the trap smacks down, it's like designed to hit them like in the center of the body. and so they can flail around or whatever.
Well, mine always got them on the neck. It would always snap their neck.
If it gets them on the neck, sometimes you see their eyes bulging out, their brain comes out. It's not pleasant. Ooh. And the worst part is when it gets caught and it doesn't hit a vital organ. They're like flailing, and the traps are just flipping about as they're like doing their last. It's grim. So when we go the one for Monty, Yaz, my partner, was like, no, we're going humane. And when you catch them humane, you have to like take them like a mile away from your house, because they'll if you just drop them up outside, they'll find a way back in because they'll have like marked their territory. So yeah, honestly, you have to drop them off like a mile away, like in a field or something, so they don't come back.
You know what you should do, Trilbee? You know how everyone's got a frenemy, like a friend that they're kind of rivals with? Just make up an excuse to go visit your friend.
Well, I just wish I had people who lived near me that I hated, so I could do that. But I don't. All of my friends
release all these mice in his house. They'd be like, right, good catching up with you, man. See you later. Yeah.
Well, people in the chat are saying get a cat, which that's a legit strategy. But I go out to take
cats are lazy.
But also when I go out
to overrated as mice killers, they don't do it.
But when I go out to like take the trash out, there's cats everywhere in the back alley. How did the mouse get in? It's like Fort Knox outside in terms of mice. There's cats everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Diego Gonzalez in the chat says my cat once kidnapped a rabbit. What?
Yep. That happens.
I need details.
Oh, you know how it is, because they don't like to kill them. They like to like torture them a bit, and like they play dead, and then they like keep their foot like on their tail, and just when the animal's like, okay, I've played dead long enough, he hasn't paid attention, I can slowly creep away, then they grab him again. So yeah, that happens. Yeah, I once had a pet mouse actually, which was really stupid when I think about it. And then he got sick, so I smashed him with a brick to put him out of his misery.
That had a more violent end than I anticipated.
And I did it when I was wearing a white T-shirt. Not a good idea, because he splattered on my shirt and it wrecked it.
It's like the villain in Emperor's New Groove. It's like, I'm going to put that mouse in a box, then put that box in another box, then send it to myself, then I'll smash it with a hammer.
Well, it's the same as like with fish when they start floating up on the surface. You know they're sick. What are you going to do? Call a vet? You can't. So you just flush them down the toilet. So, but you can't. You're not going to flush them
out about your brick story.
Sorry about that, guys. Well, I'm not going to flush. Normally, the humane thing to do with a fish is you flush them down the toilet, but with a mouse, you don't do that. And I didn't want to just leave him out in the backyard for him to suffer, so I just smashed him with a brick.
I get the reasoning, but was a brick? Was this like a thought out? Oh, this is my sacrifice brick. Or
it's not like I put him there, and it's not like I laid him in the grass and then got the lawnmower and was like, and was like slowly moving it closer to him as he's like trying to get away.
Like the closest thing to hand, or did you have other options and you just thought the brick's the best one?
It was the only thing sort of in the backyard, I guess.
Okay. Anyway, sometimes we talk about movies.
Yeah, sometimes we do. And anyway, I wanted to, before Trey gets here, because I assume Trey's on his way, but before he gets here, let's have a laugh at his wiki page.
Oh, yes. I'm going to put this. So if you go on to Google, folks, go on Bandit Incorporated Wiki and just Google that, and it's the first link.
I think it's the fandom one, yeah.
Yeah, banditincorporated.wikia.com. And there's and if you go to the latest activity, it was last edited a minute ago by Diego Gonzalez 05.
Oh, Diego Gonzalez.
What was the last thing
he's the one who was doing it. I was wondering who was doing it. Thanks, Diego.
It was like a minute ago, so this is happening in real time.
Well, it says, note, out of respect for Trey's privacy, no further information concerning his location is permitted to be added. Thank you.
Yeah, we're getting kind of close to Trey being doxxed. That's not cool.
Yeah, well, Trey doesn't seem to.
After she mocked his love of Superman.
Wait a minute. Does it say that for Trey? I haven't read that bit.
And then it says that for you. It's on your page in the trivia section. It also says owns an iPad, has a pretty messy kitchen, and ironically owns a Hogwarts mug.
Yeah, that's from. I know what video that's from. That's from one video where I show part of my kitchen. Yes, but anyway, it's not supposed to be about embarrassing me. It's supposed to be embarrassing Trey. Sherman Trey White, also known as Mr. Grinch. He's the 18-year-old co-host of the Movie Mania podcast. White also made a cameo appearance in Revenge of the Sith as the X-Wing pilot. And look at that, a picture of baby Trey.
Baby Trey. If we find Baby Bandit and Baby Trilbee, we can have Yoshi's Island. Well,
actually, what am I doing? I should screen share this.
Well, actually, I'll actually give you folks the fuel for that because I found it was like a year ago I found it, but it was a VHS tape of like baby footage of me, and I got it converted into a DVD. And I've been thinking, I'll do Trilbee reacts to Baby Trilbee because I was not a cute kid. My brother was cute, I wasn't. And some of that footage I think would just make for a fun video, especially since it's my birthday in like 2 or 3 days time. So that might just be a fun birthday thing.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see it. But baby Trilbee could not be anywhere near as bad as Baby Trey. Well, look at that! Look at that mug. It's like he's stoned or something.
I think that's a meme. I don't think that's a direct photo of Trey. I do think that is a meme, but still, it's more it's more an interpretation.
In my mind, that's Trey. That's Baby Trey.
Yeah, no, that was Trey yesterday. A live stream to his current location. So yeah,
that's right, yeah.
The wiki says Trey lives in Texas, United States. He's a student and amateur filmmaker. What's there? But Trey is generally a positive and cheerful guy. He has a good sense of humor and a love for movies, which shines through when he talks about the films he loves, like The Force Awakens and The Dark Knight. However, he gets very frustrated and angry when he comes across a movie he does not like, Batman v Superman, Jurassic World, Moana, Infinity War, etc. Also hates women. That's a bit of a bombshell to drop at the end of that paragraph.
So worth it, though. So worth it.
Catchphrase is, that being said, ... which I think is a legit one. But that's neither here nor there. And that's definitely a Trey catchphrase.
Oh, they're leaving out my favorite one.
Which is your favorite Trey catchphrase?
Which is "Bam! You have been raped." That's my favorite one. Do you remember?
And do you remember that? 5 minutes. That's going to be on the wiki.
Well, that's because he was telling this story about how when he was in high school, you know how they make you debate each other. They set up like debates, and this was that to debate about the value of teenagers having like cell phones. And part of his argument for teenagers having cell phones was like, you're lost in the woods. You can't find your way out. You don't have a way to contact anyone. And then bam, you have been raped. If you just had a phone, that wouldn't have happened. So people took that quote of bam, you have been raped. And, and attributed it to Trey, which is not an inaccurate quote. I wish I could remember which. Yeah, if I can remember which episode that was, I'd get that audio. That'd be great, but I can't remember. It's in there somewhere.
Line Star in the chat says Bandit just hit Baby Trey with a brick.
Hey, the violence to children, that's Trilbee's thing from last week.
Well, there is an evolution of that. We'll get to that in the homework section. But yeah, that's a continuation of that story. But
no! Did you get a knock on the door from the British police with those rounded hats going? Governor.
Yeah, all the time. It's just not because I kill kids. It's more just my general stalking of celebrities.
Wonderful. I love it.
Anyway.
Well, thank you for Diego Gonzalez who's doing the the wiki. It's always wonderful to read that and see what information makes it on there. All right, so shall we get into the movie news?
Let's do it.
All right, movie news. Let me write a timestamp.
Podcast media's in the chat. Trey's in the chat.
Oh, hey Trey.
He says this is awesome.
Check Skype. I sent you the link on Skype if you can't find it. Sometimes I send it by Google Hangouts.
Bam! You appeared in the chat.
Yeah. It's
JS Stampy says, Trey, you missed it. Bandit killed a mouse with a brick.
and we totally were not making fun of baby pictures of you, Trey. We totally were not. There's nothing to worry about.
Oh, that's funny.
Trey, you're supposed to be doing the news. I'm sitting here frantically searching the news.
This is like the equivalent of like if you're watching CNN or Fox News or whatever news equivalent, and the host is meant to be on the show, and they just ring up to give their opinion on a news story. This is that equivalent.
Yeah, and the guy who's behind the desk is just like one of the cameramen going, so this happened today. All right. Well, first news story. Actually, maybe I'll screen share it because I'm reading off the thing, and I like doing screen share, as you can tell. Screen share.
You need to like have hotkeys and stuff for the thing. I think
it might be
worth doing a practice live stream just to test a load of things. Because I'd be interested in learning about that as well.
Well, every time we do a practice live stream, everything works fine until we actually go live, and then it stops working. All right, so Jeff Goldblum has described how he remembers the first time seeing a dinosaur while making Jurassic Park. He says, my gosh, the first time is when I saw a shot at Kauai, those first 2 weeks of Jurassic Park. And one of the scenes that we did the first couple of days, I do believe, was when we got driven to this, this pasture, whatever it was, a big grassy part of the terrain, and found that sick Triceratops. To the human eye, I love that they repeated it twice. It looked like it was a real dinosaur.
That's like suspicious. Like, oh yes, a human eye. The human eye.
Yeah. It's like Mark Zuckerberg, he's like, we're all human. I used to be human. Whoops. I mean, I was human. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Zuckerberg. Yeah. The internet conspiracy theory is being typed right now. He says, to the human eye, it looked like it was a real dinosaur laying there, because the puppeteers, the animatronic people, 7 or 8 of them, one working the blinking, then the breathing, and it was real life-sized, a live dinosaur. Or I almost had I don't know what I did. I did a fit of some kind of ecstasy.
Okay. That Triceratops animatronic was when people like Spielberg takes a photo posing next to it, and then like a few years ago it made the rounds on Facebook, and it's like, this person just hunted a poor innocent Triceratops. Share if you think this is a disgrace. And people were like, oh, Steven Spielberg is just a terrible person for hunting that poor creature. It's just a funny thing that pops up every so often, but it just shows just how convincing and how great those Stan Winston animatronics were. And like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is like, it's not as extensive as back then, but there's still quite a few convincing animatronics in it. I'm just glad that they've gone for that approach again. But yeah, it was fun you reading the Jeff Goldblum quote though. It felt like he was on the podcast with us.
I kind of went back and forth between Jeff Goldblum and Captain Kirk. I don't know what I've got to do. Like that kind of. He's a difficult one to do. There's some great YouTube videos of him like reviewing things. Like he reviews Jeff Goldblum tattoos that people have. and there's one of him answering questions, like the auto questions that come up in Google when you think Jeff Goldblum is, and it finishes. Like he answers all them. There's some really great stuff there with Jeff Goldblum. All right, so DC's Green Lantern Corps knows which character they're going to use. Place your bets, folks. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart? What do you reckon?
Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's my preferred and my guess.
You're wrong.
Oh, Rocket Raccoon.
No, you're wrong. It's going to be Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Oh, well, trick question.
It's a malformed question.
I know. Okay. Yeah, I guess you can have 2 Green Lanterns, but no, wait a minute. Isn't there supposed to be just 1 Green Lantern for each sector of space? You can't have 2 patrolling the same sector, and they're both on Earth. What's going on?
I don't know exactly when it started, but having 2 Green Lanterns in one space sector isn't unheard of. I know the New 52, they had the Green Lantern Corps comic line. You had the main Green Lantern one, and you had the Green Lantern Corps one, and they had 2 Green Lanterns for the same sector. So I don't know. I think unless it's like they're both from Earth, but they patrol different sectors of space. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's not uncommon. It makes sense, and I think it's the best of both worlds, really. And is Trey here?
Goodness. Is he there, Trey?
It's bigger. It's better. Ladies and gentlemen, it's too much for the Movie Mania podcast. Well, everybody, my computer took 10 minutes to upload, I promise. I was just sitting here listening to the show. I was waiting to make sure you guys didn't get... Have you guys gotten to the Halloween trailer yet? We're going to talk about that in a second.
Oh, no, we've not talked any trailers yet.
We're just reading news. How have you been, Trey? How you going?
I'm okay. I graduate tomorrow. Yeah.
Whoa!
So it's a big thing happening tomorrow. Yeah, but besides that,
check the wiki. It's probably already been added.
I heard you guys are reading my wiki page. Thank you. Thanks for that.
There's a baby picture of you there, Trey. Yeah, a baby picture.
It's not a picture of me. In fact, if you guys want to know the story behind that picture, my then lady friend found a picture that looked just like me on the internet of when I was a baby. And she put it on her social media, and they found that picture and put it on the wiki. I don't know how they got it, but they got to it. And so that's how they got that picture.
Well, at least they're not posting any more new information about you or your whereabouts, Trey. Yeah, because it says that on the wiki. I wasn't sure whether you'd be indifferent or whether you'd be like, "Yay!" Or whether
I believe that was a rule we made like 2 years ago, almost. I was like, no more posting about my location. We're gonna call it there. Yeah.
Okay, well, getting back to the news here, I gotta share this. I gotta screen share this, because what could be better than seeing Taika Waititi from What We Do in the Shadows and the director of Thor Ragnarok as Adolf Hitler in his next movie. Jojo Rabbit. You want to see Hitler Wakiti? You want to see it?
Oh, is there a picture?
Oh yeah.
I've seen this. Yes,
because I've heard about the movie and I know it's filming. I didn't know there was a picture out.
There we go. How accurate does that look?
No, it's on. I need to follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, wow, he really that does not look like Taika Waititi. Has he gone a bit white face for that? I guess he would have to if he's playing Hitler.
He's powered himself up.
Yeah, they've either got a lot of lights on him. Because I was like, how's it going to work? He's tanned. He's a Maori dude. But no, he looks good, like good old Uncle Adolf right there. There we go.
If you go on his very latest Instagram photo, it's not him in Hitler costume, but it's him with Scarlett Johansson teaching her how to do biscuit acting, apparently. But yeah, this movie sounds like a lot of fun. For those of you in the chat who haven't heard of this, it's about it's a movie set during World War II in Germany, where this young boy has got a single mother played by Scarlett Johansson and an imaginary friend in the form of Adolf Hitler played by Taika Waititi. This movie sounds really fun, a fun black comedy concept, and anything Taika Waititi does, I'm going to be excited for. I'm going to see if there's a release date on this.
It's 2019, isn't it?
I'm taking a look now real quick. IMDb has got it without a release date, so I'm assuming it's going to make the festival circuit in early 2019, late 2018, and then get some form of distribution. That's probably the route it's going to take.
The only other news story I can see on here is that's kind of worth talking about is the Hulk Hogan and Gawker movie is definitely happening. Please don't. Nobody wants to see that.
Too soon. The emotions are too raw.
Only if Martin Freeman can play Hulk Hogan. That's my vision.
Martin Freeman as Hulk. That countercasting might work.
Oh, I would love Martin Freeman as Hulk Hogan. And you know what? He could pull it off because that guy's an amazing actor.
He's a very versatile actor.
All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it for news. So
let's talk. Do you want to talk about all the 5 bajillion trailers that came out this week? I suppose we should talk about them, should we? I presume Trilbee, you've seen all of them. Bandit, have you seen all of them?
I've seen all the major ones.
Not really.
Yeah.
because I did an episode of the Film Brits podcast talking about like 8 or 9 of them. You know, you got Spider-Man, Halloween, First Man, Lego Movie 2, Wreck-It Ralph 2, How to Train Your Dragon 3. A lot of stuff dropped this week. It's almost as if we're approaching like the midst of the summer movie season or something.
Yeah. I don't know where you let's. Sorry, finding my words. Wherever you want to start, Trilbee, you want to just go and kick us off here.
How about Bumblebee? That was like the first one to drop this week.
Yeah.
Bandit, did you see the trailer for Bumblebee?
No, I did not.
Shocker.
But yeah, the Travis Knight directed prequel to the Transformers film, set in the 80s, starring Haley Steinfeld and John Cena. Trailer gave me Iron Giant vibes, and that's a good thing. This looked like a smaller budget, down to earth film. Really like the look of it.
The Transformers actually transform, like they don't just like become like jagged pieces of metal. And
they have
like
silhouettes that are distinguishable.
Yeah. And then I think Starscream's in it, and he looks like cartoon Starscream, which is fun. I know Bandit didn't like Kubo and the Two Strings too much, but that's a very, I think it's a fantastic film, and everyone who has not seen it probably should. And so I have complete faith in Travis Knight. The trailer wasn't exceptional, but there's so much good at play here that I have no reason not to be excited.
Yeah, like it's lacking the massive wow factor that we've had from previous trailers from the Transformers franchise. But I think as long as the film stays true to itself and its smaller ambitions, I'm not expecting a 10 out of 10 knockout film. But as long as it's good at the story it's wanting to tell, and I feel a connection between the main characters, then it could be nice, like Christmas counter programming, because there's no Star Wars this Christmas, so you're going to be getting like Wreck-It Ralph and Bumblebee and Aquaman. Yeah, so it'll be interesting which has the biggest winter box office. On Mortal Engines as well. There was a trailer for that this week, which looked okay. I was hoping for more. Yeah, I was hoping for more, but it didn't really impress me that much. I'm still looking forward to the film, but I wanted more from that trailer. So, do you want to pick the next trailer, Trey?
Yeah, let's jump into the Lego Movie sequel trailer, whatever it's called. Lego Movie 2, the second part, which I think is awesome. It's a great title. Yeah. I'm interested in what?
Sam, what are you doing? Sorry. Sam's moderating our chat. He just accidentally blocked one of our people, and he's like, whoops, sorry. I'm like, come on, Sam, what are you doing?
Did he block Line Star?
Yeah, I was like, what did he say?
Deleted.
I was wondering, did they just make a mistake?
As you guys were talking, I scrolled back. I was like, did he say something really racist or something? And he's like, oh no, sorry. It was
that's like, I'm gonna have to be racist, Bandit. Anyways, no.
You're right. We should say racism is allowed. You're right.
Have you never heard that with great power comes great responsibility? Okay, Line Star's back.
Okay.
They're so surprised.
Good to have you back, Lone Star.
Wait, do you not know when you've been blocked from the chat? That's hilarious. So you can just be talking for hours.
Is it Line Star or Lin Star?
Linstar, maybe.
Linstar. I apologize if I've mispronounced your name, but I like Linstar.
Yeah, that's right.
Sam Heinrich apologized to the tune of $10 in super chat.
That's amazing.
Oh, thanks, Sam. It's all right.
$10.
You don't have to pay us as an apology. You're already helping us with the Discord, so you're fine, mate. But we'll gladly take your money, though, because we all make money.
Anyway, Lego Movie 2. The trailers for the first Lego Movie didn't wow me, but it was like in my top 2 or 3 films of the year it came out. So when it comes to kids' films, they're edited in a certain way. You've got the pop music and the pop songs. It's like, and How to Train Your Dragon 3 as well. That music is not appropriate for that trailer. But so I'm not expecting to be wowed by the promotional campaign, but I'm looking forward to the movie itself, if that makes sense. Like,
they're not showing us anything, which I'm excited about. Granted, this is only the teaser, but it's literally, I love the direction they took with it. Like they lost the Battle of Duplo or whatever, what they call it, the tragedy of Taco Tuesday. That's amazing. And like they lost the Duplo battle, so now there's like on the run, like Mad Max style, and then aliens just come down. I love that that's what the movie's about.
I said this in my podcast talking about the trailer. It was the first movie in 2014, and this one will come out in early 2019, where it was a much more innocent time when people were not so divided and everyone was not so angry. And then you've got Emmett just going around saying everything is awesome. And whilst I was like, no, everything is not awesome anymore. You can't go around like that anymore. And I don't know if that was intentional subtext, but I found it funny. I related to that. I love,
like, you know, there's also, I guess there's the hint of that heart being there of like Emmett's going to try to stay the optimist because despite the whole world literally falling apart around him.
Hello, sewer babies.
So, it does look fun. I'm a little upset that Lord and Miller aren't directing it. They don't have anything right now, which kind of upsets me. Like they lost, like they didn't do Spider-Man, they didn't do the sequel to Lego Movie, they're not doing the next Jump Street movie. They're just they dropped Solo, or they got dropped out of Solo. You know, I don't know.
One of them is Phil Lord did the screenplay for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which, full disclosure, I think was the best trailer to drop this week.
We're gonna have to fight on that. I think there's one more. I think there's one trailer that was better, but we'll get to that one last.
Girl in the Spider's Web?
No. What?
Careful. But for Spider-Man, everything about this trailer worked, and my favorite part about it, in my opinion, was Brian Tyree Henry as Mouse's dad, the police officer.
Yeah,
who won't let him go into the school until he says "I love you" in front of all of his friends, which is it's a beat that we've seen in so many different comedies before, but it just played so well here. It's done in a way I've not seen before, and I hope the film doesn't get too complicated with the inclusion of Spider-Gwen and all these other ones as well. But everything I'm seeing and just the animation style, it looks beautiful. It looks some of the shots when. Even when it just he's climbing over the taxis and there's just a few frames where it looks like a comic book panel and the colors are all washed out, and everything about this worked for me. And I saw this trailer 2 days before I went on YouTube. I saw it at my screening of Jurassic World, and I was like, this is new. I've not seen this before.
That's awesome to be I watched the Infinity War trailer 2 for the first time on the big screen before I saw A Quiet Place.
Love it when that happens.
Yeah, it blew my mind.
It feels kind of weird. It feels kind of weird, like watching like trailers at the movies now, because it's like you've seen them all before. There was a time when we used to be excited. You'd go because you want to catch the trailers. Now we're like, we know it all already.
I still see movies to catch the Star Wars trailers. Like I think it might have been either Jungle Book or maybe something else where I was like, I'm going to see that just so I can catch the Star Wars trailer, just so I can catch it on the big screen. Because I don't know, I'm weird like that.
What was the movie
speaking of trailers, though?
Trailer for Phantom Menace attached to it, and Star Wars fans,
Mighty Joe Young, Meet Joe Black.
Maybe, but Star Wars fans would pay a movie ticket to see this movie, and then they'd leave once the trailer finished.
Yeah,
it was a different time.
Well, this was back when you had to download trailers. I remember having in this. And here's a way to date myself, make myself looking very young. I remember when I had to wait to get the 1080p version of the Twilight Saga New Moon trailer, which came out in 2009, by the way. Keep that in mind. It was right after the MTV Movie Awards, and it was on YouTube, but it was only on YouTube in 360. So you had to go to Apple or whatever and download the trailer from there. And that's what I did. And I waited a full day. I went to school. I didn't want, and I downloaded the Twilight Saga New Moon trailer on my computer, and it's one of the biggest regrets of my life.
I remember back in the day, I think it was around the time that Saw 4 and Saw 5 were coming out, and I would actually record the my computer screen for the new trailers that came out and then take it into school and be like, look at the trailer, which was it feels so antiquated now, but that was just how it was done 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's funny too, because I was watching the old Jurassic Park trailer, because I made the evil John Hammond trailer because we talked about that.
That was really great. Well done on that.
Fantastic. Well done. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun making it. I liked taking I liked editing John Hammond out of context. That was so much fun. I like the bit where I just edited in the shrug, where he's like, you're wielding it like a kid who's mouth his dad's gun. He just goes, who cares?
That was the best bit.
Yeah. But I watched the original Jurassic Park trailer, and I was watching it, and I was like, you know what? If that came out today with the trailer breakdowns that we have, we'd be able to figure out so many of the good stuff of Jurassic Park before it came out. Like they have, like they show the T-Rex attacking the car. We'd be able to pause it and figure out, okay, the car gets flipped over, and then Jeff Goldblum runs away and it chases them. And like, it would have spoiled so much if that came out today. So now we're in the age where Marvel has to actually change the trailer so that they don't spoil certain things. Like, remember the Infinity War trailer where they're in Wakanda and that shot where they're all charging towards the screen? They had, instead of the Hulk power armor, they had actual Hulk running.
Yeah.
Not how it happens in the movie.
And for Thor Ragnarok, they showed footage from like the end of the movie when he should have had an eye patch, or like he should have had one of his eyes is missing. So it's interesting how the whole dynamic of how trailers are made has completely shifted, because people can watch them on demand, so they can be picked apart, and companies want them to be picked apart because it's an extra form of marketing. So they make those trailers to do exactly that.
I remember the Force Awakens trailer, the teaser one that's like Chewie, we're home. That has like 50% of the shots in that trailer are not in the movie, and I think that's amazing. It's you go back and watch that Force Awakens trailer. It's such a great trailer, and
You've cut out there. Well, I was worried that I'd lost you then, Trey. I can hear you now.
Oh, I thought that was just me too. Everything went silent. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go again, Trey.
I was just saying that I think it's a genius trailer, and because they made such a beautiful piece of art, and yet none of it's in the movie. That's what I was saying before I got cut out. Unless I got cut out again just now.
Oh no, it worked. So Trey, what was your favorite trailer of the week then, if not Spider-Man?
Let's talk about How to Train Your Dragon first.
Okay, that's a great trailer apart from the music. And I love the song. I have a real soft spot for Ed Sheeran music, and I love Castle on the Hill.
It's awful. The whole trailer.
I love the song, but I like the trailer. I love the imagery. I like it focusing on the friendship. The shot when Hiccup and Toothless are walking out of the fire. I love the imagery of it.
I don't know. Have you seen the movie Rio? Have you seen that movie?
I've not seen it since it came out. I remember very little.
It's the plot of Rio. It's the Rio, if you guys don't know, it's about a blue macaw, which is a kind of bird living in Rio de Janeiro or whatever. And he has to get with another blue macaw because of like the last of their kind, and they have to mate. And
oh God, you're right. It's population.
And so, and then Rio 2 is like that in reverse or something like that. I can't remember, but like I'm sitting here watching the How to Train Your Dragon trailer. I'm like, this is just Rio, and I'm like, why are we doing? They're so better than this. Like the first one's this nice coming of age, like E.T. style dragon adventure flick, and the second one's like this borderline war film. Yeah, it's essentially Lilo and Stitch. And this other one's like this war film where they have to go on a quest to save the dragons. And then this one's just like there's a bad guy and maybe they're falling in love. I'm like, what are we doing here? Do you remember the teaser trailer for the second movie? It's just them flying around and he takes off his helmet, and it's a great trailer. I don't know what this is, but let's not kid ourselves, Trilbee. This was terrible.
Well, no, I get where you're coming from completely. I also like I didn't like how it's a hidden dragon world. What, like the dragon world that we saw in the last movie? So this is the second hidden world that we've encountered for the dragons. I think even though it's the title of the movie, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, it's the least interesting part.
That's not how you spell monologuing. I'm almost certain it's not.
I know.
Monologuing.
Words are my kryptonite, whether they're spoken words or written words.
Sly dog, you caught me monologuing. Oh,
what was the name? Oh, Pete Popplethwaite. That was the name from last week.
There's so many good Incredibles quotes people are putting them in the chat of like, they're penetrating the bureaucracy.
That's my favorite scene in that movie.
No capes.
So genius. He's the best.
Folks, a podcast is like an enormous clock.
It's like yes, Bob, exactly.
You know what I mean by rotating cogs, Bob?
I was watching a movie the other day. We gotta wait. My partner was near me and was like, "I recognize that voice." I was like, "It's Rex from Toy Story," and she was like, "No, it's the guy from The Good Wife." I was like, oh.
And you're like, no, it's the guy from The Princess Bride. He's everywhere. The man's been everywhere.
Anyway, How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The trailer wasn't amazing, but I liked aspects of it, and Trey hated it like he hates everything. But what was your favorite trailer, Trey? What did impress you?
What brought a glimmer of joy into that dark heart of yours? Trey?
Halloween.
Believe it or not, it was a Halloween trailer. I love it.
Of course it would be.
It was so awesome. Okay, so I'm a skeptical person. I'm not someone that I consider to be easy to please. And you call me because I'm cynical or whatever, but like, it's amazing how quickly this trailer got me on its side. It was around the point when you pulled out the mask and we got to see this really cool sanitarium. I'm like, I'm in. This is it. I can watch this scene all day. And then the trailer, if you guys haven't seen the trailer,
movies, don't you?
I do.
You really do.
You guys haven't seen the trailer, it's fantastic. Check it out when you get the chance. There's this really great bit at the end of the trailer, which is so simple because it's just there's a little kid standing there or sitting in this bed, and the babysitter is like, oh, what's going on? And the kid's like, can you close the door, please? Close the closet door because the light's open and he's getting scared, I guess. And she tries closing the door and like something's blocking it. And it's such a simple shot. And then we open it and it's Michael Myers. And there's not like a quick cut. There's not some kind of like, there's a loud sting kind of, but it's so unsettling because if you look carefully, you can see him there. And there's just such this, I don't know, there's this nice practical element to it that I loved.
Once I watched the end of the trailer, I had to like rewind it to make sure that shot wasn't cheating. I was like, wait, did they just like CGI Michael Myers in the closet for the last bit? Or was he always possibly there and he was obstructed by the door? And he was always obstructed. Yeah. And it's just a really cleverly composed shot. You can
see him. You can barely see his shoulder the first time the door catches him. And it's so creepy. And I love it. The thing with the teeth in the bathroom, it's just... there's nothing like a good horror film. I liked the other trailer you were going to talk about, but the Halloween trailer just like, and Jamie Lee Curtis has just been like Sarah Connor in it for 40 years, which I'm totally down for. And they get that great shot where she shoots the mirror. I'm excited.
That mirror shot was cool, but like my issue with the trailer is Laurie Strode, and I'm sure Jamie Lee Curtis will be great, although. Remember that very first promotional image that was shown when the film went into production and Jamie Lee Curtis had the pixie cut. But here she's got curly, longer hair that more resembles the first film. Now, she rocks the pixie cut so much better. But because it's been 40 years since the first movie, and I understand that the events of that Halloween night would have been traumatizing, and maybe she sleeps with a gun under her bed or whatever. But I take umbrage with the idea that for 40 years she's been doing target practice in the garden, and that she wants him to break out to kill him. Maybe in the film it will justify it and it'll be fine. Maybe I'm overthinking it, which is possible. But for me, it was just like I didn't quite believe that level of dedication. But it could work.
I think I'm able to make that leap only because they're really trying to make a film that is a worthy successor to what Carpenter did in the 70s. So I think the first Halloween is one of my favorite movies ever. It's maybe the scariest movie I've ever seen. It's great if you guys haven't seen it. But I'm excited for what they're going to do with this.
I had people on Facebook asking, should you watch the original Halloween movies? And there's a lot that, even though it's a simple concept, there's about 3 or 4 split timelines for the Halloween franchise. Watch the first 3. The first 2 take place back to back, and the third one has nothing to do with Michael Myers. It's still just a great horror film where kids are killed by capitalism. And
the third one is pretty good. Season of the Witch. It doesn't get enough love, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
mainly because you see a lot of kids get killed by Halloween masks.
Oh well, it's the best. but if you
Halloween.
All right. I'm trying
to Shamrock.
Trilbee, you got to tell us the follow up for your kid killing antics in last live stream. You mentioned you were going to tell us in homework.
That's for yes, that's the homework. Do we have any more trailers we want to talk about, or should we go straight to homework?
Do you want to briefly talk Spider-Man?
Well, I've already said everything I wanted to say about the Spider-Man trailer.
If I can add one more thought, I think Jake Johnson as Peter Parker is great casting because he kind of sounds like Tobey Maguire, and everyone that's going to watch it is like, is that Tobey Maguire? I think they got Tobey Maguire back, and it's my super secret plan to get Tobey Maguire back in the Spider-Man franchise because I want him to be Uncle Ben in the Marvel universe, just to have a picture of him. Have a picture of him like against the wall, but that's just my.
Oh, that'd be great if he was Uncle Ben.
Yeah, really good. But besides that, I think the trailer was probably my second favorite. It looks beautiful. It reminds me a lot of the Peanuts movie that came out
Like the
Charlie
frame
Brooker
rate
film.
isn't. It feels a little bit choppy, but it's still
It's like
has fluidity to it.
2.5D. Yeah, it's like a graphic novel, almost like you're watching a graphic novel come to life in more ways than one. It looks beautiful. But besides that, I do not have any more news.
Okay. So should we go straight to homework then?
Oh, you got to tell us the follow-up.
Yes. Okay. So I saw Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom because it came out last week. It came out last week in the UK. We got it like a month early. So I saw it opening day, and there's a kid in the film, and I didn't hate the kid. I actually thought she was really cool in the film.
I saw your review. I was like, I'm sure,
yeah. I didn't hate her. I didn't want every time she was on screen, I didn't want her to get eaten by the dinosaur. She didn't get on my nerves.
Pay attention, Bandit. I saw that chat. Pay attention.
I'm sorry, Matt. I know you're upset. I can't wait to get to the Incredibles 2.
Why is this movie new in the podcast? Okay, no, go ahead. Sorry, Trilbee.
But so Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. I remember when the first trailer dropped and it was the exploding island, and people were saying this film doesn't look very good. It feels like the trailer's spoiling everything. And Colin Trevorrow came out, who is a co-writer on the film with Derek Connolly, and he said that that's only like the first act of the movie. And that's true. This film is a film of two halves. The first act of the movie is the exploding island when they have to save the dinosaurs from the volcanic eruption, and it's kind of like your classic disaster adventure movie like Twister or Volcano or Dante's Peak. And the second half of the movie, believe it or not, is like a slasher movie, more like Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, where you have this genetically engineered dinosaur called the Indoraptor, who is genetically engineered by Rafe Spall, Toby Jones, and B.D. Wong.
Hang on, whoa, hang on. So it's a genetically engineered raptor? So it's not the Indominus. Like the Indominus was a genetically engineered T-Rex, so this is more raptorish.
Minor spoilers. The film opens with them retrieving, because the Indominus Rex was dragged into the ocean at the end of Jurassic World. The Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom opens with them retrieving a bone fragment from the Indominus Rex at the bottom of the ocean. So they use that DNA. Yep. They use that DNA. And they combine it with the raptor DNA from Blue, which was the main raptor in Jurassic World, to create the Indoraptor.
Do I have to see this?
Well, that's stupid. Hang on a minute. Okay. They're just... Dr. Wong ran out with all the embryos. You just make another one, Wong. Why do you need to go and grab the bone? Unless it's
look, maybe it works better in context.
They do a pretty good job justifying it in the context of its own story. And
okay. It was like that's all right then. Yeah.
If you are wanting a return to form of amazing top tier blockbuster filmmaking like Jurassic Park, you're not going to get it here. You are going to get something more akin to the first Jurassic World. That being said, the star of the movie is not Chris Pratt or Bryce Dallas Howard or the dinosaurs. It's director J.A. Bayona, because he is able to seamlessly walk the tightrope of making a disaster movie that transitions to a horror slasher movie. And there are some great one-take shots. There are some beautiful tableaus in the film. He takes what could have been trite action sequences and actually makes them visually engaging. This is a film that you should probably see on the big screen if you are going to see it. And in terms of blockbusters, it is more akin to like Ready Player One or Jurassic World, where, it's a fun time while you're watching it, and you can pick it apart afterwards very easily. There are a lot of lapses in logic, but this is like a summer movie. Have a good time. And I know Trey takes umbrage with that argument, which is fair, but I'm just prepping you if you were expecting like a Jurassic Park type movie, you are getting more of the same for Jurassic World.
And you know what? I'm calling it right now, is since raptors are already supposed to be super intelligent, and now this is a super raptor, I'm predicting it's going to talk. It's going to talk in the movie, just like in Jurassic Park 3, that dream sequence where the raptor says Alan. That's going to happen, but it's going to happen in real life. Boom.
I can neither confirm nor deny that the Indoraptor talks. You'll have to see the movie. Speaking of,
what about?
I love the chat here where it's like fun is Trey's trigger word. It's not a great word. I'll be honest.
No.
But truly, you forgot to mention the giant stuttering elephant in the room called Jeff Goldblum.
Oh yeah.
Is he in the movie? Is he only one scene or?
He's at the beginning and the end of the movie, but it's clearly the same scene, and it was clearly one day of shooting.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's
No.
disappointing. Yeah, that is disappointing. Also, a few other disappointing elements. Michael Giacchino's score, which we will heap praise on later on in the podcast when we talk about The Incredibles. It's very similar to Jurassic World, where you get a sense that they are building upon just a couple of the motifs of John Williams' music and not creating a distinct musical identity, which is a bit disappointing. But it's J.A. Bayona's show here. There's some of the cinematography is really impressive, and there's some amazing shots. And technically, the film is a few steps above Jurassic World. There's some really great animatronics, convincing animatronics as well, on par and better than Jurassic Park. The CGI on the dinosaurs is really cool. You see more dinosaurs than ever before. There's a couple of shots in the trailer which are just basically not built upon in the movie, like the shot where there's the giant one in the ocean that's chasing after the surfers. That is the only part of that movie, like that's the beginning and end of that scene, which is massively disappointing. Where clearly, like with the ending of this movie, it changes the whole universe essentially, and it's a setup for a third film, which I'm interested in seeing. I know the film itself is able to stand on its own. But the ending of the movie does set up.
Can we just get movies again, please?
Yeah,
okay.
It's only
not really, everything has to be a universe.
I understand the concern. It's only really in the last 10 minutes where the actual main plot is done and they start setting up the third movie. And to be fair, it's a third movie I would like to see, depending on how they deal with it. But there are a couple of fun moments that, like when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, that you'll have a lot of fun with in like honest trailers or in riff tracks or whatever. There's I watched it with a friend, and we did have some moments where we were just laughing at it, because it was like not necessarily because it was worth laughing at, but also because the film takes itself very seriously with very silly concepts. I also didn't like how the Indoraptor was not nearly as threatening as the Indominus Rex. The Indominus Rex in Jurassic World, I thought, was a really effective antagonist. It was something where by the end of the movie, I was like, how the hell are they going to beat this thing? Because even when it starts kicking the shit out of the T-Rex, I was
how
like,
what the hell? How are they going to defeat this giant piece of CGI? It's clearly there and is very much a threat. How are they going to
yeah, basically,
quick, render it.
Yeah, Jurassic World.
Render it, they'll kill it.
The animator suffers a fatal heart attack. But whereas with the Indoraptor, it didn't feel as intimidating, it didn't feel as threatening, and it was just another genetically engineered dinosaur. And I hope we don't go through that trope again, because it's just really repetitive. There's also, as much as I like the kid in the movie, there's a lot of plot twists surrounding her that are completely unneeded. It doesn't go anywhere. It adds up to nothing.
Chris Pratt's looking at her, and then the camera starts like dollying in, and then Chris Pratt goes, "Oh my god!" And Bryce Dallas Howard goes, "What?" And then he goes, "That girl's part raptor," and then like her claws comes out,
and then she goes.
All right, everybody. All right, internet, go. Make that your ringtone. You've got it. You've got the audio.
That girl is part raptor. but still, I had a fun time with it. But it's, once again, if you're gonna judge it by the Jurassic Park standard, it's not gonna live up to it. If you judge it as more Jurassic World, which is there's two branches of this franchise, and it's clear that they're going for the like Jurassic World fun, dumb, spectacle driven. Like Chris Pratt is charismatic and fun, and there's some fun interplay with Bryce Dallas Howard as well. It's a different type of blockbuster structure that they're going for, which is fine, and it's honest and true to itself, if that makes sense. So I had a fun time. It's not something I'm going to rush out and see. It's not going to age as well as Jurassic Park has. I think I had more fun with Jurassic World, but Fallen Kingdom is, like, quote unquote, objectively the better made movie, because J.A. Bayona completely kills it, and I'd love to see him in the blockbuster arena again. So yeah, I had a good time with it, but it's not something I'm gonna tell people to rush out and go see. And if you didn't like Jurassic World,
you hear that, Bandit? I don't have to go see it. I don't have to see it. We can just talk about it on the show, and I won't have to see it.
Well, I think 2 weeks until it comes out here in Australia, and I think in America as well. Yeah.
So
that's
we get it
probably
on
like
the 22nd.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to figure out what we do with Incredibles 2, because Trilby, you have to wait until July, don't you, for that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I'm not here next week anyway. I'm working in London, so I can't do that podcast anyway. So if you two just talk about Incredibles 2, and then I'll come back the week after.
We have an
Yay.
opening.
Yes.
Everyone in the chat. I'm going to do a Joker. Here's a broken pool cue. We're having tryouts.
Mega fast. Mega fast.
Yeah, mega fast. All right.
Okay,
well,
so
should we get into this?
Oh, wait. I have some homework, if I may.
Yes.
So school let out last week. So I've been at home just kind of going through Netflix. And there's this movie I've been wanting to watch for maybe a couple years now. I just never got around to it. And I saw this really weird, interesting, and kind of horrifying South Korean film. Bear with me. Stick with me here. It's called Mother. It's called Mother. And it's from, I believe it's Bong Joon-ho, who did Snowpiercer, The Host. Most recently, I think he did Okja, which none of those films I'm particularly a fan of. But this film, like, blew my socks off. And if you guys that don't know, Mother, it's about a South Korean family, a mother and a son, and the son is accused of murdering a girl after her body's found in like the street, and it's kind of this. It's this mystery of who actually did it and what happens when it's revealed who did it. And it's so well done. It's South Korean, so yes, you do have to read. But if you can get past the language barrier, it tells such an interesting story, and the idea of what it means to be a parent, and just all these different themes clashing together. And I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking, how did the guy that did Okja make this? Like, what happened in like 10 or so years that caused him to deviate so deeply wrong? I don't know, Trilby, maybe you've heard of this movie, but it's
I'm
very good.
screenshotting and post it now so people can see it if they want to.
At first, I thought you were talking about like the Darren Aronofsky Mother movie.
No, absolutely not.
I've Mother. But yeah, I've not seen or heard of this movie. Although I do like the work of Bong Joon-ho. I liked Okja. It was flawed, but I liked it. And I like The Host. I've not seen Snowpiercer. It has not had an official release at all in the UK. Not even
on
Netflix or Amazon. Not UK Netflix.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Instead, we got all 10 seasons of Doctor Who on Netflix. Hooray!
Bet.
I would trade it all. But I would trade it all for just one Snowpiercer.
Yes, it's a great film, and I think everyone needs to watch it. And I'd like to specify again, this is not Mother with an exclamation point. This is a 2009 South Korean film, not the 2017 Darren Aronofsky wants to tug himself off on the camera for 2 hours. God, that movie sucks. I'm sorry, we never talked about it in the show, but I hate that movie, and I also hate Jennifer Lawrence, because Trey the Hater is just what we do these days. And I saw something else that we can talk about.
I think everyone hates Jennifer Lawrence now, don't you think?
Yes. Yeah.
The tide is kind of turning on her. She's a bit of a B-I-C-H word. I guess I could say.
Bandit, you opened this podcast saying you killed something with a brick. Don't pretend you've got standards.
That's true. Yeah,
that's the quote of the podcast. I know Trilby saw anything else, but I have one more thing I can talk about before we jump into Incredibles, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, so in February, this movie with Natalie Portman came out called Annihilation, and it's from director and writer Alex Garland, who wrote and directed Ex Machina, the film with Poe Dameron and.
Sorry, what was it called again?
Annihilation. And Annihilation. And so the plot essentially is that this thing crashes down on the planet, and it creates this giant force field looking thing that anything that is within it begins to defy the laws of physics. And so a team of scientists led by Natalie Portman venture into this force field to figure out what actually is going on. And that's really all I can actually say without giving away anything else. It's so weird and bizarre and just it's oddly beautiful. I don't know how else to describe it, but like it's like looking, you know that scene in Interstellar when Matthew McConaughey falls into the black hole and he's like in the Tesseract and things are like flipping around, and then it's like that, but for 2 hours, and you don't know what you're looking at. but you think you like it, and it's pretty bloody great. And it turns into like a slasher film halfway through, and it's pretty good, and it does some very trippy things. And like, I'm loving this movie, and then suddenly, without giving away any spoilers, it does something I can essentially attune to AI. If you guys ever saw that movie, AI with Haley Joel Osment, to where you're like, this was a pretty good film, and then it just isn't. And I'm like, what happened? We had it. We were on the verge of greatness. You were this close. Anyone that gets that reference is a fan of mine. But I don't know if I can say I liked it anymore. But I do recommend everybody see it. It's original sci-fi and it deserves its love. I believe it got a UK Netflix release.
Yeah, it's out on UK Netflix.
So hang on, so this thing crashes to Earth, and it's like creates a bubble that distorts reality. And is she a scientist? Her job's to explore it? Or?
Yeah, she's a biologist, and she and a bunch of other teams. Like, there's a physicist in there, there's a soldier in there, and then there's like the person that created the group that sends teams in there in the first place. They all go in there to study it and kind of reach the center of the whole area to figure out kind of the source of what is creating this. And that's
why do they only send women into it? Because based off this poster, it's for women. Does something happen to men when they go in there, or
the dicks fall off?
Yeah.
Well, actually,
holy shit, am I right?
No, you're not. But it's
I'm so going to see that movie now.
In the sense of they do. You can argue that the movie asks those kinds of questions without actually asking them. Oscar Isaac plays Natalie Portman's wife, and he is a part of the team that goes in there before her, and that is kind of the inciting incident that gets her interested in the whole thing in the first place. And so that's kind of her connection into it. And they don't necessarily bring up the idea that it's a team of all women, but you can argue that is an angle they're going for in the film. I think it's done rather tastefully, actually. You guys should probably just see the film for yourselves so we can talk about it more in spoilers.
Yeah, I found a picture of her sitting there, and there's a glass wall, and there's like 500 guys all behind there in masks. So it's like,
I'll be careful not to
look out, girl germs. Stay away from it.
Only Bandit can be like, why are there no men in this movie? What's going on? What happened?
I did see one more thing that I forgot, and I forgot that I did see because I've tried to purge it from my brain. So before I tell you what the movie was, I'm going to name off the cast members, and then I'm going to tell you what the movie was. Okay, so it's got Chiwetel Ejiofor, Oscar nominee, Michael Caine, Matt Lucas, Stephen Merchant, some great UK comedians, Ozzy Osbourne, Dexter Fletcher, Emily Blunt, James McAvoy, Mary J. Blige, and Johnny Depp. That sounds like an amazing cast, right? It was Sherlock. It was Sherlock Gnomes.
That's right.
So, has anyone seen? Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment, and plus I'm craving the YouTube views. But right, has anyone seen Romeo and Juliet or Sherlock?
Guilty. I've seen the first one. Yes, I was 11, so I saw it. But yeah,
what did you think of it? The original one.
I mean, I hated it, and I was 11, so I guess that speaks for the quality of it. So.
Yeah, this one is also no good. So the plot is that the gnomes have moved out of Stratford-upon-Avon, and they've moved to London. And I'm sure everyone remembers that the gnomes were originally in Stratford-upon-Avon. Everyone remembers the deep chronology of the the Gnomes franchise, which is made by Elton John of all people. I don't know why Elton John has decided to dedicate his twilight years in film producing to making musical animated comedy movies about everyday garden gnomes. So what happens that all of the gnomes get kidnapped out in the new garden by Moriarty, who is voiced by UK comedian Jamie Demetrio. That's Moriarty. He's actually pretty fun in this movie. I'll admit it's a really drastic reinterpretation of Moriarty, and I dug it. And they have to team up with Sherlock Gnomes and Watson, voiced by Johnny Depp and Chiwetel Ejiofor, respectively, to try and track down Moriarty and solve the clues and save all of the garden gnomes. It's no good. The film is no good. It's not as good. It's not on the same level as Romeo and Juliet, believe it or not, because that had a few things going for it. I liked Jason Statham in Romeo and Juliet.
Oh yeah,
and even though the animation.
I'm gonna go watch The Meg just because Jason Statham's in it.
Well, there's a wonderful
shark.
there's a wonderful quote in Romeo and Juliet. It's probably the best line in the movie when Matt Lucas's gnome is going from one end of the garden to the other, and Jason Statham's gnome is looking through a peephole in the garden fence, and he's like, "That's such a big head for such a tiny gnome." And yeah, there's nothing like that in Sherlock Gnomes, and also the animation in the original one is better than the new one, because you actually got the sense that these are like garden gnomes. When they make contact with each other, there's a little chink sound effect. There's nothing like that in Sherlock Gnomes. And Johnny Depp is half asleep doing the voice role, so he's probably giving one of the better performances he's given in the past couple of years. Chiwetel Ejiofor is actually a pretty interesting and badass version of Watson, which I really liked. But McAvoy and Blunt as Romeo and Juliet, they're really phoning it in here. Almost everyone is phoning it in, with the exception of Chiwetel Ejiofor and Jamie Demetriou as Moriarty. And Mary J. Blige shows up as a really drastically different version of Irene Adler, who gets a whole song and dance number, and it's really weird, and it goes on for an obscenely long amount of time. And the plot makes no sense. There's Dexter Fletcher, who just shows up as a gargoyle, and he's like, "I'm a gargoyle, mate." He's like, what am I watching? Actual line of dialogue, by the way. That's an actual quote.
I'm a gargoyle, bitch.
More or less.
And then he busts out of the floor, and how do you know who I am?
I'm the gargoyle, mate. I don't recommend it. So I guess had to get that out of my system. I've got a review dropping
because we were all itching to go see Sherlock Gnomes.
Well, but I kind of have to ask it: did I just have a fever dream, or is this a movie that's actually out and is produced by Elton John?
The trailers made me feel that way. I watched trailers, I was like, why am I? What did I do to deserve this? What kind of ninth level of hell am I being sent to, where Sherlock Gnomes is on the movie screen right now?
Yeah, it's
there we go. It is real, because I just googled it. There it is, Sherlock Gnomes.
Yeah,
and there's a sexy frog in it by the looks of things too.
Oh yeah, a sexy frog voiced by Ashley Jensen, who
Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, we go.
who's got a romance with the Matt Lucas gnome. But yeah, it's not very good. What I will say is that when this comes out on DVD or whatever, maybe YouTube the Moriarty scenes, because Jamie Demetriou is having so much fun in the role, and this Moriarty is so different from what you've seen before for the character that it might be worth just watching compilation videos on YouTube of him. He's fun in the movie. But
my question is, who's going to make the effort to compile the Moriarty scenes?
Because I was doing a video review of it, and there's a weird Romeo and Juliet following on YouTube where you can find like music videos and full movie uploads of the film on YouTube. And so I thought, wait, a lot of people like this movie. I better get this review out. So that's going to drop on Wednesday. It's about 10 minutes long, and I didn't expect that. So
where's your life gone when you realize that you made a 10-minute review of Sherlock? Okay.
When I was first starting out on YouTube, I did a video review of Romeo and Juliet, and it got a lot of views, relatively speaking, for like the other content I was doing.
Yeah, because you're probably the only one who reviewed it. So
yeah, so I have cornered the market on Elton John reviews.
Oops. Well, hey, look, guys, it's been over an hour and we haven't started talking about Incredibles.
Yes. We'll jump into the Incredibles. Okay.
The Incredinomes.
Okay.
Indiana Gnomes.
Let's set the scene here. All right. It's November of 2004. I'm sitting in my room. Thank you. And I walk in my parents' room and I say, "Dad, let's go see a movie." And he said, "Okay, which one?" And I said, "Let's go see The Incredibles." And he said, "I'm not going to go see that little kid nonsense," except he didn't say nonsense. And I said, "No, you're going to like it, I promise." And we went and saw The Incredibles, and the movie ends, and we're walking out the theater, and he turned to me and he said, "You finally picked a good one." And we went to the car and we didn't speak after that. And that's when my
you never saw him again.
That's such a sad story. That how distant your dad is from you.
I was expecting the story to take a much darker turn. Like, "Dad, let's go see The Incredibles." No, smack.
No. But one of my happiest memories is when me and my dad and my sister went and saw The Incredibles. And it's a great film, guys. I mean, I don't know, we're preaching to the choir here, I imagine. I don't know any people that doesn't like this movie, at least. It's amazing how it doesn't feel like it's an animated movie when you're watching it. It's shot and it's crafted and it's written like a 2D, not 2D, excuse me, like a live action film. But that's just because Brad Bird has such a grasp on his craft and what it means to make an animated film, you know. And I think he talks about animation like it's not a genre, like it's a style of movie, and I appreciate that. And it's such a well put together, fun, just awesome movie. I love it so much. All right, you guys, go ahead.
Well, The Incredibles is a good movie, but it's no Sherlock Gnomes.
All right, Trilbee. Well,
so yeah, I rewatched this the other day. I think it was the first time I watched it in its entirety for about maybe 6 or 7 years. Yeah, this was really good. I remember really enjoying it as a kid, but yeah, there's so many other layers to the story, and I agree in how it's not shot or like the the virtual cinematography, because it's an animated movie. It's so different to other Pixar things. I think that's because this is the first 3D animated movie that really tried to like portray human characters. Like we saw them very briefly in like Toy Story or in like DreamWorks' Ants or in Shrek and everything. But this is the first one where it's more or less an entirely human cast. And you can see like a few of the teething problems with some like the animation there. Like some of the hair is impressive, and some of it just seems like it's permanently glued. Some of the backgrounds are a little bit barren.
I don't think they knew how to animate black people back then, because the opening scene, Frozen looks like a 1995 polygon. Like Mr. Incredible and Miss Incredible look great. Like Elastigirl, like the way she's shining with her makeup and everything, she looks great. And you know, you can see the definition in Mr. Incredible. But Frozen looks just like a white background with like some like a brown crayon. I'm like, they didn't know how to animate him, did they? No, but so.
But yeah, it's so impressive and ambitious that Pixar, they thought, okay, we're going to do this 3D animated movie with an entirely human cast, and we're not going to like just dip our toe in the water. This is a full-blown action blockbuster superhero movie with frequent action set pieces, which are really ambitious. Like the 100-mile-an-hour dash sequence is one of the best things Pixar has done, like visually on screen, and like the whole combination of the music and the way it's shot and how it just continues to build. It's a fantastic set piece. And I love the voice cast as well. Oh, I didn't even know you'd gone.
I dropped out for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
All the other tabs
except this and the chat, so I can't screen share anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot how great.
I can't. Let me just go.
But yeah, I forgot how great Craig T. Nelson and Holly Hunter are in this movie, and how I completely forgot about the whole Elastigirl infiltration sequence as well. I guess how much fun that was when she gets caught between the two doors and and then knocks out all of the guards. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, there's just it's hard to know where to start with The Incredibles, because there's so many great memorable sequences and so many great memorable side characters, like Bob's boss at the insurer care, or his friend who works in the
people in the chat love him. That guy's awesome. Listen to me when I'm talking to you, Bob.
that man out there, he's getting robbed. Well, let's hope we don't cover him.
Yeah, right. Just the worst kind of human being. And you're just like, how could someone like this person exist ever in reality? And then we went and elected him president. Sorry, that was my one. I had to.
I'll have you know that I was watching this with the commentary on, and that commentary was a gold mine. And they mentioned that that guy's sort of a proxy for all the middle managers that all of them working there hated. he said a lot of different animators, their personal experience went into that scene. And they said it's always these people are in middle management. They're never in the top position, but the ones who are like obsessed with the rules and like all the little pieces mesh together. Like an enormous
policies, Bob. I don't tell him what the policies are. He's so good. Wallace Shawn he kills that role, man.
What's the line? Like, what about our shareholders, Bob? Who's helping them out?
They're penetrating the bureaucracy. Oh man.
Well.
And Bandit cut out.
There he is. I thought that was just me. He's gonna keep talking, so maybe we shouldn't. I don't know, because he's gonna try to talk, and then on the audio, it's gonna sound like him talking over me. Or we can just keep talking the whole time and see what happens. Anyway, Shelby, do you want to keep talking about Incredibles?
Yeah, I think Bandit's completely gone. Yeah, I even liked. I think his name is Rick Dicker, voiced by Bud Luckey. Bud Luckey, who is the guy. He's the government agent who, after Bob almost kills his boss, talks about maybe relocating him. But like, even it's just one scene. He's a greatly designed character. Like, his face is all droopy. He looks like Tommy Lee Jones if this was a live action movie, like a melted candle. But even like he's saying like, we can't keep doing this, and he's being very like angry and annoyed and stern with Bob. But then like the elevator door closes and he catches it and he's like, maybe I could relocate your family, you know, for all time's sake. And these are like humanized, multi-layered characters. Like these aren't just archetypes. They go a bit beyond, even though they're only in a couple of scenes. And like Kari, the babysitter.
Yeah, she's great. I think that's something that the film does really well, and that is that it humanizes everybody. And I think easily some of the best scenes in the film are when it's just them talking. And I think that's what I'm hoping Brad Bird is able to keep together and it looks like he's going to keep that dynamic in the sequel. But really, like the scene where it's just them at dinner talking about how, you know, Dash got in trouble at school and Bob doesn't care that he got in trouble. He cares that he was faster than the camera was able to catch him, or, you know, or something as simple as Violet being happy that a guy acknowledged her at school, or my favorite scene in the movie, which is the argument scene when he gets home from tearing down a building that was on fire. And they have this argument. And if you notice, Elastigirl, like, she gets taller. She stretches herself out when she's going at him.
This is not about you.
Which is a beautiful touch to show they've had these arguments bazillions of times. And that he's clearly tried to use his size to be like, listen to me. And she's like, no, listen to me. And it's a great little touch.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually back. I went and hit my router with a brick, and hopefully it will stay on this time. But and that's
like Thanos. Yeah.
If we did Movie Mania like podcast merchandise, you just sell a brick, and it's Bandit's brick. I own Bandit's brick for $20.
That's a Phineas and Ferb joke. I know it is.
That's a great idea.
They do that in Phineas and Ferb.
Director's commentary, they talk about in that scene, because Mr. Incredible's so much bigger, like that's why they had her stretch up over him, because it started to look a bit like Spouse. So they made her like stretch up so that she's taller than him, because they are physically like matches for each other. So it's certainly not a spousal abuse type thing.
Yeah.
And I also like when he comes back from the jewelry heist, what turns into a jewelry humming his own theme song. He's like,
I like how he's just grabs like half a cake.
Those little touches like that are so great.
But yeah, the argument seems great, and how even the kids like end up eavesdropping, and they have to kind of like talk them down from the situation. Because I think that's quite relatable as well, how children hear their parents arguing, and then the parents like have to kind of get back to like
there's a great line where he's like, no, we're together fighting for and then the mom goes together. He's like, I was gonna say evil or something. There's this great little
fighting the forces of big-headedness.
Yeah. That's great. And the movie's full of just little moments like that, where something as simple as, you know, Elastigirl giving a little extra stretch to make sure Jack doesn't eat the soap. Just little itty-bitty.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, just a little itty-bitty that shows the amount of effort and detail that goes into what should have just been your average everyday animated film, because it has no business being as good and as transcending as it is. But you can tell everyone involved wanted to make the best quality product possible, and they ended up doing that. It's one of my favorite movies ever. So if everyone's like, why are you hating on the movie? I love this movie. It's like the best.
I think every single scene, even like the dramatic ones, have something to like engage with on multiple levels, whether it's humor or it goes extra dark, or like even when they're flirting on the rooftop at the beginning of the movie, like Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, and the criminal gets up again and is like, hey buddy, the lady got me first.
she stretches through his legs, and I didn't notice that there the first few times I watched it. On a rewatch, like when she's like flexible, she stretches all around and then ends between his legs and then goes flexible. And you're just thinking, I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's a kids movie. This is a kids movie. Don't think about it too much.
Well, it goes in surprisingly dark directions and very mature directions. So like kids may or may not pick up on when they're watching it when they're younger or watching it for the first time. Like how Mrs. Parr thinks that Bob's maybe having an affair.
Oh god, that scene breaks my heart. Oh my god.
And yeah, when she finds the silver hair on his suit and like overhears the phone call and says, and when he's leaving, and he says, she says, "I love you so much." And Mr. Incredible, like he even takes a moment to acknowledge her. But also, there's the scene when Mr. Incredible thinks that his family have been killed, and he threatens to break Mirage apart like a toothpick.
Yes.
And like he just can't bring himself to do it. And like just the emotion on his face as he just realizes that he doesn't have it in him to do it, even though he's nothing else, he's got nothing more to lose. And Syndrome even points that out. And that's a turning point for the whole story as well. And
can we talk about the beauty of how this movie's like 80%. Like, this movie's like, it's like 60% Brad Bird, but it's like 40% Michael Giacchino. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. That's how you pronounce his own name.
Yeah, Giacchino, yeah.
It's on a whole other level, the Incredibles soundtrack. It's because it's not just the main theme. It's not just like it's like Star Wars. Star Wars is so much more than just the main motif. It's got the Force theme. It's got Yoda's theme. It's got the Imperial March. It's got the Millennium Falcon music, the Ewok music. It's got all these different themes. And in this one movie, it's not just the main theme. It's 100 Mile Dash. It's the end fight. It's all these beautiful little motifs, and essentially it's the James Bond soundtrack. But the way he was able to transform it, and there's this great moment which I call the end of Act 2, by the way, and it's when Mr. Incredible finds out that the Chronos plan, and the soundtrack is called
the all is lost moment.
Yes, and it's but you don't think about it when you're watching, and that's kind of the beauty of Pixar, unless it's Coco and he's in a literal pit, and I'm like, oh, so this is what we're doing, huh? No, but it just it's amazing that sequence of how the mixtures of filmmaking there, because the movie's very much a lot of smooth flowing shots that kind of lead into the next one, very Spielberg-esque. But that scene ends with so much cross-cutting and so much fast-paced editing, and it's magical.
But
I love it.
It's also another really dark moment where you realize like just what the body count off screen of this movie is, and how insidious Syndrome's plan is that he's basically targeting very like vulnerable heroes who just, much like Mr. Incredible, just want to return to the glory days, and he abuses that want and desire from them to test out this robot so he could pretend to be a hero.
The movie's got one plot hole, but you can keep talking.
Just a random bit of trivia. This is the first Pixar movie to win more than one Oscar. It was nominated for Best Sound Editing, which it won, and it was nominated for Best Animated Feature, which it won, but it was also nominated for Sound Mixing and Original Screenplay, not Score. I wanted to check if Giacchino's score was nominated, and it wasn't, depressingly.
Got nominated for Screenplay?
A Best Original Screenplay, yes. It didn't win.
It deserves it. It deserves a nomination for sure. It's a very well-written film. The dialogue is off the charts.
I love how
guys, I'm back. So
okay?
If it drops out again, I might just call back using my phone. That way we won't drop out again.
Okay.
Maybe that's not reliable, but I was really brokenhearted because I'm like, I got so many notes. There's so many things I want to talk about. So let me ask you, what do you guys think the moral of this story is? Because I was thinking about it and I was like there's a video, a Wisecrack video, where they talk about this, saying that this kind of reflects Nietzsche's attitude of like herd mentality, in saying that normal people want to persecute and drag down superior people like the Incredibles. And Syndrome, in a way, he's kind of a tragic character because he doesn't have powers. And the movie kind of says that even though he achieves all this amazing stuff by his technology, he ultimately fails at being a superhero. So heroes are not made, they're born. And if you're not born being super, you're never going to be incredible.
I have issues with
in a weird way. It kind of is saying that.
I've got my own personal issues with Wisecrack. I think they do. Sorry, I think they have done some great stuff. Whoopsie daisy. I think they've done some great stuff, but I do think there are times, kind of like other channels that like to sit down and analyze what certain media means. I think they're often credited as, you know what? I'll say it. I think they're often credited as being smarter than they actually are. I don't know. There's some things where they say, and I'm like, I don't know. It's like when you're in English class and you're reading a poem, and it's like, why did the poet choose, blue curtains? It's like, maybe he just liked the color blue, because there are some things done for the sake of it being a filmmaking
Shots
technique.
fired, Trey.
I'm not, and I love the guys, and I think I love the Rick and Morty podcast, but I do think that, and I call a Bandit sometimes. I work with Bandit, but I'm not afraid to.
Well,
sure. But I think
that being said, though, if you also watch Tomorrowland, which is another Brad Bird movie, you can see that it has a similar philosophy to the Incredibles.
I hated that there was such elitism there.
Well, yeah. Well, I feel like Brad Bird has a lot of unresolved issues, and if any like teachers from school who taught Brad Bird, could you get in touch with Brad and just make sure he's okay? Like, just make sure that he seems to have a lot of unresolved issues.
One too many times for wanting to change the world. Is that just what happened?
Yeah. Well, actually, I thought about it, and I think really the real moral of the story of Incredibles is not so much you can't be incredible unless you're born with it. I think it's more that don't let someone else categorize or label you as what you are, because it's like there's the incredible family and they're incredible, but like Bob in particular is not very good at just leading a normal life. He just can't do it. He's not incredible in living a normal life, whereas Syndrome, he's not good when he's trying to be super, but in terms of like just living as a normal person, he's very successful. Like he's built this whole thing. He's a bad guy, of course, but it's like both of them are don't succeed when they're living in each other's categories. And I think the model for us all to follow is Edna Mode. I think she's the example to follow because she's not super, but she's still incredible in her own way. And she doesn't let anyone else tell her what to do or put a label on her or categorize her as this or that. And I think that's the moral of the story of be incredible in your specific way. Don't sort of compare yourself to others. Like you're unique in your own way. So be incredible in that way. That's what I think the message of the movie is trying to say.
I think you can also simplify that down to appreciate where you are in life, because I mean, the film opens with the kind of, you can call it situational irony. I think that's what it is. Where Mr. Incredible's like, I want a family, and I love that. And the last girl's like, no.
I feel like the maniac just cleaned up this mess. Can we keep it clean for 10 minutes?
And then you jump 15 years later, and Mr. Incredible's like, I want something more in life than working in this bureaucratic office. And Mr. Incredible's like, well, actually, love the people around you because we're doing great stuff, and we just want to be a normal family.
And Frozone as well. Like Frozone's living sort of, he's being a player, but he adjusts pretty well to just normal life afterwards. He's like, you know what? I'd rather just go bowling.
And you can argue that that's why he didn't get taken by Syndrome 2, because they knew where he was. They found him. It says so in the sequence, but I guess he just
that's interesting.
He wouldn't have shown up to the island. Like if they messaged him for the island, he'd just be like, no.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
his wife wouldn't have let him go. His wife would have been like, "What you doing there? Give me that car." What's that say?
I think there's multiple.
Where are you going? You better be back ASAP. I thought that's the best.
I think there's multiple layers to like morals and themes to The Incredibles, because if you take away the superhero trappings, it's a story about a midlife crisis. It's about Bob wanting the glory days of his past, and now he's got a family and he's got like a normal bureaucratic job, and like Helen has been like domesticated, like she's looking after the family at home and Jack and everything. But then he gets an opportunity to like relive the glory days or put on the super suit again, and that is manipulated and abused. It's the scene when they've all been held captive by Syndrome before Violet manages to. That's a funny scene how she just floats away and manages to escape. And he says to his family, like, "You are my greatest adventure. You're my greatest creation." It's similar to Up, where it's about like not chasing your own fantasy.
Emotional.
But it's great, and it's Mr. Incredible didn't realize like how much he adored and appreciated his family until he thought they were gone.
Well, it's got that really great moment when they're about to fight the Omnidroid, which we'll get to the plot in a second.
God, yes.
And he's like, I'm not strong enough. She's like, it's war. And you get that great writing again. He's like, I can't lose you again. I'm not strong enough. And I remember watching that because we screened it for like we had a senior party thing and we showed The Incredibles there. And you could hear me crying in the back. I'm like, that's so beautiful. That's so poignant in a Pixar film. It's awesome. But speaking of plot holes, so here's my question. If the Omnidroid is consistently learning and it figures out by correcting its mistakes and they build a better one, how is it that it can still get damaged by itself?
Yes.
I think that makes sense because it's something that no matter how hard you make the armor and the exterior of the machine, it still needs to that will increase its power, and it would just I think it's hard to explain. I found that to be consistent because no matter how powerful you make it, like how physically strong you make it, it still might be strong enough to penetrate itself. That sounds dodgy. To destroy itself. If there is a plot hole, it's why did you put the power core that powers it in the exact same place where it was previously destroyed?
Yeah,
but it was. But what happened was that Syndrome tested out on Mr. Incredible. Although it's not a very scientific or reasonable way to do it because you caught him by surprise. You didn't give him a chance to counterattack.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said that he tried a lot. He got through a lot of supers before it got to Mr. Incredible, and it still wasn't good enough. So he tested it again. It beat Mr. Incredible pretty quickly and easily, and he thought, okay, now it's ready to put in the city to send on the rocket.
Yeah.
So to me, it made sense because it's still going to have that fundamental flaw that it was like even if it's like super duper powerful, it's still going to be strong enough to destroy itself.
And let's not forget, like he took out the other one by himself. So then he tested the updated one against Incredible by himself. But when they took it out, it was the whole family as a team. See, like that bit where Syndrome like captures him and the spinning blades are heading towards him. It's bigger, it's better. That bit. Like if the rest of the family had been there, that would not have Incredible wouldn't have been in that situation. Like
no, you're right. However,
daughter would have put a bubble around him or something.
It's not necessarily the fact that they won. It's more of like how they won. They won by doing the thing that they called back to earlier in the film, but they made it a very specific point that.
But on their own, they couldn't have done that. On their own, they couldn't have done that because like Frozone had to distract it, and you know the others were doing the button and all that. So it did require more than one of them, and he hadn't tested against them. But the thing about Syndrome, I think he's a really interesting villain because he's fun and he's enjoyable to watch, but he's also genuinely intimidating.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
he really is. Like
it's that haircut.
Yeah,
it looks like Chucky kind of, and it still scares me a little bit. Yeah,
that's right. And like when he fights Incredible at that first bit, he beats him. Like Incredible has to actually fake his own death by hiding under the corpse of Gazer Beam, that other guy, to hide the probe. And I love that Syndrome, like he flips him around with the 0 point energy. He jumps off a waterfall, drops a bomb in. And I love the fact that like Syndrome is kind of like a fanboy as well. See, other villains would do the Austin Powers thing and go, I just assume that got him. But Syndrome knows that because he's a fan. So he's like, I'll drop a probe in to make sure he's dead. Like, I like that. That means like when I saw that, I was like, he's like a level up from your other villain. And it's because of his knowledge of heroes and all that. So I like Syndrome a lot. I mean, he was ready to kill a bunch of kids. He's like, I'll send them a greeting.
Yeah, he's multifaceted. He's able to like be intimidating, but also be really funny. Like when he discovers how Mr. Incredible survived, he's like, "You hid behind the bones of another super, and I'm still geeking out about it."
One of my favorite
this
lines.
Is just too good.
One of my family's favorite lines is like, "It's you married Elastigirl and got busy." When he quits the other kids, that's my favorite. I love it so much. It's a great movie.
Let me screen share this. Hopefully it won't crash again.
One thing that Diego Gonzalez in the chat says that why didn't Syndrome program the robot to not be able to harm him? He did, and I'd noticed this during the repeat viewing when we're looking through the point of view of the robot when Syndrome's trying to take it down in the city. It looks at him and it's like, okay, he's not a threat. I'm not meant to attack him. Instead, the robot scans the remote and realizes that the remote is the threat. Yeah. And then he shoots the remote off his wrist. I think it's clever. It's how they got around that.
Yeah, it was very clever. Because Syndrome, like the voice was bothering me. I'm like, I know that voice from somewhere. So I looked it up. Here, I looked up all of the voice actors actually. Can you see this one? Craig T. Nelson is Mr. Incredible. Holly Hunter is Elastigirl.
Everyone go watch The Big Sick right now. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a very distinctive voice, but Holly Hunter's great.
Brad Bird is Edna Ball. There he is, Jason Lee. My name is Earl. He was Syndrome. I was like, I know that voice from somewhere, but I couldn't quite place him. So I looked him up.
Alvin. Everybody my age will know him as Dave from Alvin and the Chipmunks. I didn't watch any of them.
Spencer Fox, Dash Par, don't recognize him. Sarah Vowell as Violet Parr. I don't know who that is.
She's reprising the role in Incredibles 2.
She does not look like Mirage at all.
She's also dead, as we discovered. As I discovered doing research, I was like, "Who is she? She's gone. She died of a drug overdose a few years ago."
Oh, that's depressing.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bit more like there's a deleted scene section where Elastigirl finds one of the grey hairs of Mirage and confronts Incredible about it. And he sort of makes up this story about like, oh no, it's probably the cleaning lady.
It's old lady hair.
It's old lady hair. Yeah, but they cut that from the final movie, I guess, for some reason. And something else they cut from the final movie was Snug, the character of Snug.
Co-pilot.
Huh?
The co-pilot.
The co-pilot. Yeah, they cut him out because for those who remember the movie, is like just when Elastigirl is about to head off and track down Incredible. She picks up a picture of this old friend Snug, and she's talking to him on the phone. She says, I got to call in that favor. Do you have a plane? And he's like, yeah, let me think. And in the alternate scene he's the one who's flying the plane. And when the plane crashes, he dies. But they changed it in the movie because they thought that they wanted someone to die because they thought they want that to actually be a cost and to establish that this is a universe where people can actually die. But they changed it because they realized that if someone died in that plane crash, it would change the character arc for Violet from that point onwards, because if she failed to put up that thing around the plane and as a result the man died, her character arc after that would have to go in a different direction. Like because her character arc is she comes out of her shell, but if someone's dead because she couldn't put a thing up, she might actually go more into her shell. So they erased that so she would learn the lesson, but can still be there for the big fight and is still sort of happy at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I remember I got the DVD for The Incredibles, and this was back in the day when they used to pack the DVD full of special features.
Yes.
And Brad Bird had a commentary for all of the deleted scenes. And,
yeah, that's where I got it from.
But it's genuinely interesting to listen to I love commentaries over deleted scenes of talking about the reasoning, because sometimes what doesn't go into a film can be just as interesting as what is in the film.
There's a great bit where Mr. Incredible has to act like he cut his fingers off or something like that they cut. I think.
Yes.
And he's like cutting. He's like chopping meat, and the knife like bends over his fingers. He's like, "Oh no, my hand!" I forget why they cut it. Probably because it just didn't work in the context of the film, but yeah.
But there's also on the DVD the animated adventures of Mr. Incredible and Frozone and the rabbit Mr. Skipperdo. It's one of those really cheesy 1950s style cartoons where it's still images, but it's real life lip movements. And what they do is they have this like 2 or 3 minute animated feature on the DVD, and they also have Craig T. Nelson and Samuel L. Jackson in character doing a commentary, and it's like Frozone is like, I've never seen this cartoon before, let's watch it. And he's like, why is the animation so bad? What's that bunny? And there's a great bit where at the end they have to make a bridge, and Frozone makes an ice bridge, but you don't see it, and Frozone's like, why don't you see me make the ice bridge? That's the best part. And at the end, they say, "Oh, the day is saved thanks to Mr. Incredible and Frozone, and of course, Mr. Skipperdo." And Frozone is in the commentary saying, "The rabbit didn't do anything." But it's brilliant.
How
Like,
bizarre.
if you can get the DVD like pre-owned for like $1 or something, if you get the 2-disc version, it's great. Why do they have lady lips? Why are my lips white?
Maybe it's on YouTube or something. I'll have a look for it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But there's a lot of great moments in this where you can see they've really thought about fun ways to use the different powers. Like the bit where Elastigirl gets trapped in the doors. I don't know if you guys already mentioned that when I was offline.
Briefly,
yeah, but that's such a great moment. I was like, they really thought that through, and it's cool and it's fun and it makes sense. And I thought, whenever they do another Fantastic Four and you got the stretchy guy, or if they bring Plastic Man into the DC universe, I was like, there's a lot of cool things you can do with that power, but they've never really
used into a boat.
She turns into a parachute many times. She can do amazing stuff. That's a really cool power. And I like they really thought through like counters to different powers as well. Like there's a bit where after Mr. Incredible is like hacking Syndrome's computer, he gets caught and they shoot him with sticky balls. And they stick to him and they inflate. And in the commentary they were saying we were really thinking of ways that you could try to slow down and stop someone who's got like unlimited strength, and like sticky balls would be a good way, because then it's with the leverage of the balls, it'd be like him trying to move his arms, will be like him trying to push himself, kind of thing, like trying to lift yourself by pushing your own belt, sort of thing. Like it just doesn't work. So I was like, wow, they've really thought that through. That's great.
But yeah, the action set pieces are amazing. Like Elastigirl infiltrating the base. The music's great as well. Like when she's on the weird monorail system, and when she the music is all like James Bond spy music, and then when she notices the rocket, the music changes and it's like all flutes and woodwinds for a moment. Like there's peaks and valleys to the music, to Michael Giacchino's score, which changes as the scene changes. Like when Dash is doing the 100-mile-an-hour dash sequence, just like when he's about to go onto the water and he doesn't know he's going to be okay because he's running so fast. Yeah, and it's just the xylophone going as he's like on the water and realizes, and then when he laughs and goes with it, the brass section kicks in. It's like so cleverly done. I love the score. I'm surprised it wasn't nominated the year it came out, but it's probably one of Giacchino's best scores, like regardless, like not just animated or for Pixar, just in general.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments. There's a couple of moments like that too. There's one where like at the beginning of the movie, Mr. Incredible, when he goes to stop the train and right before the train hits him, he kind of braces himself a bit, because it like establishes that he's not invincible. Like he's much stronger, but he can't get hurt. And they establish that when he's fighting the big machine at the first machine he fights.
Why are you the love child of me and Trilbee? I just
I thought I'd just leave that up there. I don't know. It just seemed to work. Awesome.
I'm surprised that Trey wasn't Frozone.
Well, I couldn't find one with Frozone in it. So, and I
appreciate the restraint, Bandit. Thank you.
And your head just kind of worked being on Mr. Incredible's body in this one. It just kind of seemed right.
I just find it funny how Bandit is our love child. And also the fact that if you'd made that thumbnail after the beginning of this podcast, Trey would have been the baby.
yes, I would have taken that baby picture and made that the baby face. There we go.
That's hilarious.
But I also like that each of the characters' powers is sort of related to their personality. And like Mr. Incredible's super strength is because the way he deals with problems, he's like a blunt instrument. He just plows through things.
I'm intervening.
I'm intervening. That's right. Yeah. Elastigirl, she's like the multitasking soccer mom. She's stretching in many different directions. Dash, he's kind of like the ADD, can't focus on things, so he like zips around. And like I've forgotten the name of the girl. What is her name again?
Violet.
Yeah, she's like sociable and puts up protective shields. Yeah, it all kind of matches back. Now, I'm going to be interested to see exactly what they hone his powers down, because I think the idea was that since he's a baby, you don't really know what he's going to become yet.
Yeah,
so
he's got limitless potential.
His powers everything. So like it looks like based off the trailer for the next one, he goes more into like teleporting. which is awesome.
I've seen a clip from Incredibles 2 when he like starts warping through different dimensions, and Mr. Incredible's got a cookie, like cookie, yum yum cookie, and then he comes back to eat the cookie. Yeah. Frozo's like, and Frozo says he can hear you, from the different dimension, yeah.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. That is something I'm going to be interested in. It's going to be nice to see them flip those roles. I do have some concerns that it'll be too much like the first one. Like, I'm pretty sure I know the plot of the whole movie already. That being said, I think that it's going to be nice to see Mr. Incredible kind of face his new challenge, which is, much like myself, math. Which I'm like, I preach, Mr. Incredible. Why would they change math? Oh man.
So but I mean, there's the reviews I've seen of Incredibles 2 say it's as good as the first one, and you kind of you can predict how the story's going to go, but it's the way they get you there, which is more fun. And they say that they say it was worth the wait, that it is worthy of being a sequel to this. So I'm really looking forward to it. But
the only
there's so many
I'm hearing about Incredibles 2 is that apparently the villain is okay, not a Patron syndrome, but still fine.
Yeah.
And even if like the main complaint is still it's okay, it's still okay. I think that's a pretty good movie.
That's right.
Sorry to interrupt.
But there's so many moments that really, really fit. Like there's moments that are just very relatable as well. Like, the bit where Elastigirl's feeding baby Jack, and she's going yum yum, and it's like, stop making faces.
No, I'm not.
When my sister feeds, because she's just had a baby, when my sister feeds her, she does that as well. I'm like, are you doing that because of The Incredibles? Because she loves The Incredibles. She's like, no, you can't help it. She's like, when you feed a baby, you just do that.
No, you should. Everyone talks to my nephew like he's a baby. I don't. Maybe that's why he likes me so much. Like, I just look at him and was like, hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, bro? Hold out your fist.
Just like that. Yeah. I'm just like, hey, I'm like, stop trying to go down the stairs. You can't do stairs yet. I don't talk to him like that. That's a great moment, though, when she's like, no, I'm not. And then he goes, you're making faces, honey. And then she just gets angry.
And then he does that later on in the montage. How great is that montage, by the way?
Yeah.
Because he's in the train.
Pixar subtly hints that their sex drive just increased. And I love that.
Yep.
And they snuck it in. They just didn't. It's beautiful.
But there's even a great, like, when he's with Dash, he's playing catch in the field. And that comes full circle in the final battle when he says go along and he throws the remote.
It's great.
I think when I was a kid, my favorite shot of the movie was when Frozone comes in to pick up Dash on the other side of the lake, and as he's going back to the city, and the Omnidroid is rolling in the background, and you see it like notice them and then jump out of frame and then leap back in. That's like the shots and the framing are so dynamic. Like when Dash runs to get the
put a dolly zoom in an animated movie. Like that, he just did. It's in the scene where when they kind of cross cut between Mr. Incredible getting the information, Mrs. Incredible find out that he's not actually at his job. And he's like, and Edna's like, would you like to know where he is? And she holds up the tracker thing, and the camera does the dolly zoom on Miss Incredible and the tracker. And rewatching it, I'm just like, he put a dolly zoom in, and that takes time and effort. And things like that's not as simple as just moving the camera back and zooming at the same time. This is a different thing happening here. It's awesome. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's the great shot when Dash goes to get the remote after Mr. Incredible throws it, and as he runs out of frame, it zooms into Elastigirl like reacting to her son getting into danger. There's character beat after character beat, and I love it. It's such a well thought out and nuanced film. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to name a couple of amazing sequences we've yet to talk about, because there's so much to talk about. The coincidence, I think not, scene, which has become a meme. Where it's Bernie. Like, don't Bernie me. This little rat is guilty.
The you caught me monologuing is now a thing. People talk about that all the time. You caught me monologuing.
The Bernie guy actually, it reminds me of my 6th grade science teacher, by the way. So, like, he talks like that's Mr. Bloody Blah. I won't name him for.
Well, the guy who voices Bernie is a production designer for the film as well. He like works at Pixar in the art department, but he just sounds like a great fun cartoon character. There's Syndrome's grisly death.
It's also
yeah.
Well, the guy that voices Bernie is the same guy that voices Linguini in Ratatouille, and I was wondering, I was like, why is his voice so familiar? And it's because it's Linguini from Ratatouille. So just a fun fact. And yeah, the Syndrome death is brutal because he gets sucked into the blade and explodes.
Yes, that's grisly. You see him like flailing, trying to pull away from the blade.
Yeah. I wonder if that's true though, the whole cape thing. Because I actually researched that because I was like, I wonder if they've done like a Mythbusters on the cape thing. But then I actually got distracted and it went into like the history of where capes started because they'd be riding a horse and the horse would kick up the mud. So the cape wasn't really something you wear. It's just something you wear to protect your clothes so you don't walk into wherever you're going with mud all up your back. So I never got to find out if capes were actually treacherous in that regard. I assume not though.
I think it makes sense in the universe. Like there's the montage, like Dino guy snagged on take off, take off,
sucked into a vortex. Thunderhead was not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Caught in an elevator shaft. Rocket cape was snagged on takeoff.
One girl gets sucked into a jet engine, doesn't she?
Which she does, like, yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. Ooh, that's brutal.
Stratogale.
Yeah, but there's some genuinely like heartbreaking moments too, like when Incredible thinks that his whole family's been killed.
Yes,
and but he still can't bring himself to like snap Mirage in half. But then after...
Trilbee just talked about this.
Sorry. Oh, really?
Sorry, no. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was going to talk about the bit after that though, where like when she frees him and he like grabs it by the throat, and it's like because he's just been stewing. Because he's like, I think
possibly bring me lower.
Yeah, like that's an important point though, because it goes to what you mentioned before, where at the end he's like, I can't lose you again. Because like it's interesting to think about what would have happened with Incredible from that point on. Would he have just become like a Batman and just killed every villain? I think he probably would have. I think he would have just gone out and hunted down every last villain there was and just killed them all. He would have gone Punisher, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. It's about how his family grounds him and makes him a better person. It's just more like layers on top of the film. It's the best Fantastic Four movie never made.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's kind of a good cross between. It's a cross between like a superhero movie and a James Bond movie. There's moments where like the music is very, very James Bondy.
The main theme is essentially a temp track for On Her Majesty's Secret Service main theme. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like especially when he's hacking Syndrome's computer, and it's showing all the dead people, and the music's like going with that kind of weird saxophone sound. I was like, this is the best James Bond movie ever made.
Yeah, well, the main theme for the Secret Service, I believe, it's bum 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 or something. It's something like they're like 3 notes off of each other. Like it's super. They're essentially the same theme.
Oh, the biggest laugh from this movie, for me at least, like it really caught me off guard because I forgot about it, is when Mr. Incredible's fighting the Omnidroid for the first time. And he plunges him into the lava, and he's like, "Oh, my back!" And then the Omnidroid comes out and tries to rip him in half, and he fixes his back.
Yeah, and he gives a little chuckle, which is nicely paid off with Dash doing the chuckle when he realizes he can run on water. He looks down, he gives that laugh, he's like, ha, and he runs on the water like a maniac. And that whole sequence is just it's gorgeous. And the
way the sequence ends with Dash being cornered, and because he stops on the water, he sinks.
Yeah, that was great too. You can see they really thought those action scenes through. It's like, and great, because it's like, how often do like movies like, should we actually plan an action scene? No, let's just go shaky cam. It's like, let's
just have Liam Neeson attempt to get over a fence, and we'll cut around it. That's how you get a 12-take shot, 12 different shots of Liam Neeson trying to get over that bloody fence. Oh man.
But there's so much thought, and it was how Pixar made movies before. I think it was up until WALL-E or Up, when what they did was that they when they first founded Pixar, the higher ups had a meeting and they drew up like concepts and plot lines on a napkin, and that made their first like 4 or 5 movies, or like 5 or 6 movies.
They were they were thinking about Wall-E while John Lasseter was busy being creepy to the waitress, but they were all working on The Incredibles.
Yeah, they were doing their jobs. But with because this Brad Bird approached Pixar after The Iron Giant flopped in 1999. Like, The Iron Giant's amazing. But then this film comes out in 2004, and Pixar would spend years and years storyboarding their movies and actually making essentially a really crude 2D animated movie before saying, this is the plot, this is the story, these are all of the beats, now let's get to animating it. So they work on the story to like so much and polish it so extensively that it shows.
And that kind of diligence also is reflected, like in the commentary. They talk a lot about the animation, and they have this bit about where Captain Incredible, Mr. Incredible Bob,
Captain Deadpool.
They have that bit where, because he gets cut on the shoulder by the first Omni droid, and to show then he goes to Edna Mole to patch it, but to show that he works his hand up through the inside of his suit and out through the slash to show that it's slashed. And in the commentary, the guys talk about the animators did everything to try to get around that, because they said it's going to be so difficult to animate that with the 3D. And they're like he works his hand through the inside of it. They're like, can't he just like hold it up and go, oh, look, there's a cut? But Brad Bird's like, no, he has to, because the point is it's gone right through. And I was like, as I was listening to that, I'd be like, yeah, I just have him like hold it up, because you already established it's cut anyway. But Brad Bird was like, no,
he's having a bad day.
Yes,
I'm going to spite the animator.
Either that, or he just really didn't like
that's the filmmaker. That's the hunger. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Iron Giant flopped, right? And so this was kind of Brad Bird's next attempt to make a successful animated feature. And he's, I don't put it past him. I'd probably be the same. I'd be like, no, we're gonna have you animate him going through the shirt, because that's what we do here at Pixar. And it gets, you got to have that hunger to be successful.
There's a great documentary about the making of the Iron Giant on the Signature Edition Blu-ray. But if you just if you just go on YouTube and type in Iron Giant documentary, it's called The Giant's Dream, and it's like a 1-hour documentary, which I really recommend watching it, because it just shows how the film was so poorly handled by Warner Brothers, and how the marketing just was not there. And even though everybody loved the film, and it showed like Brad Bird getting started off in the animation industry, a really great documentary.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually never seen the Iron Giant.
It's great, man. We can talk about it sometime soon.
You know what? I'm going to make sure I watch it for the next live stream, because I really should watch it, because I hear great stuff.
Check out if you can, try and get the Signature Edition, because it's an updated high definition cut of the film that's also about 2 or 3 minutes longer than the original theatrical cut.
Okay, Trilbee, let me ask you a question, by the way, because you're a filmmaker, award-winning.
I don't like to brag.
Do you ever go back and watch old movies and realize that you've ripped them off?
Or what, ripped your own things off?
Watch old movies that you used, like some classic film that you like, and you realize that you end up ripping it off.
And an artist does not steal; he draws inspiration from.
I never realized in hindsight, because I am quite upfront with the things that I take influence from.
I was watching Incredibles.
It's going to happen whether you consciously mean it or not. Yeah, these things just like seep into your brain. Yeah.
That's true. We're filming a film right now about journalism, and I didn't realize, because I have to watch the clips, and so I was watching a clip, and then I put on The Incredibles, and I didn't realize how much like filmmaking style I took from The Incredibles. Like, there are just certain scenes, just like the way the camera will push in on a character, or the way that we'll pan over to an object, and the way it will sneak in a dolly zoom or something. I'm like, this is very The Incredibles, and I wasn't trying to be, and it just naturally happened. So that's why
a few years ago, I made a zombie trailer for a competition. Looking back, it wasn't very good, but it was like a thing we put together in like a couple of afternoons for a competition. But when making it and storyboarding it, I knew full well what I was taking inspiration from. I stole a shot from the Deathly Hallows Part 2 and from The Incredible Hulk, of all things. And there was and in Before He Wakes,
worst movies to steal stuff from, Trey. Trilbee.
Before my you'll hate this one then for my Before He Wakes short film.
No, wait a minute. Deathly Hallows Part 2 is a good film, Bandit. No,
it's not. It's terrible.
Anyway, for my upcoming horror film, there's a shot from Iron Man 3 which I took, which is, I know you may not like the film, but it's a shot that everyone basically loves in it. And when I was trying to explain to the DOP, the director of photography, what I wanted, I just outright showed him the shot, and I was like, I want that. and then we did it.
Yeah. We will often just be talking and be like, yeah, just do this, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
But you've got to get started somewhere. Like, I even recommend to people wanting to get started in filmmaking, find a scene from a movie you like that's easy to do, and just shoot that shot for shot. Obviously, don't upload it, don't monetize it, or try and sell it as your own thing. But it's a good way to practice.
Yes. One of the first things.
Sorry to the chat. They're all angry that I unleashed the Harry Potter hate. I'm just saying, guys, that
we're not debating Harry Potter right now.
I'm just saying that since you watched those movies and read those books when you were very young, perhaps if you had read them when you were older with more of an adult mind, you might realize, hey, J.K. Rowling, not a very good writer. Okay,
but because I'm
people who think she's a good writer is young kids.
But because I'm such a humble man, I will correct Movies by Angel in the chat, who says Trilbee is an award-winning filmmaker, by the way. That's not true. I have made an award-winning film. I am not an award-winning filmmaker.
Fair.
The award went to the movie, not to me.
That's true. Yeah, it's like you said earlier, one of the first things I did was I recreated the Star Wars trailer shot for shot. If you guys didn't know that, by the way, it's on my channel. You should all check it out. It's very good, I think. It's not. It's terrible. But yeah,
but it's a good way to practice. I recommend people try and use try and recreate the lighting of it, try and recreate the shot, and the dialogue and the actor. It doesn't matter about that because you're just it's a good way if you don't know someone who can write, or you don't.
We at the Movie Mania podcast do not condone violence towards celebrities, including that of J.K. Rowling or anybody else. Bandit was making a joke. Sorry,
that's not a threat. I'm just pointing out to J.K. Rowling that I'm not implying anything.
Stop. I'm gonna get subpoenaed in court, and I'll be like, Mr. White, were you aware of Bandit's actions at the time? And I was like, listen. I thought it was funny.
That's right. I'm still anonymous, so I'll get away with it.
I'm trying to think of a way to bring this back to the Incredibles, it's the dinner table. It's like, do not threaten J.K. Rowling at the table.
That's a great quote. That's a great quote. What are you hungry for? Tony Reidinger. That's the best.
That is a good one, yeah.
She'd be really hungry for having Tony love.
You know what else is a really cool moment is when I was rewatching it, when he first goes down to the island and him and Mirage are in that monorail train thing and they go towards a waterfall and the waterfall opens.
Yeah.
The way it opens and then they ride in, I was like, that's really cool. That's they should totally use that in a James Bond villain thing, parting a waterfall because it's built into the mountain behind the waterfall. There's so many cool ideas like that.
The plot is fine without it, but it just shows that even though this was their first CG animated movie with all humans, they thought, no, we're going to make this massively ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
And it paid off,
great.
Yeah.
So, any other business for Incredibles, or?
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through. I got a whole bunch of stuff.
It's easily. It's we did a podcast. One of our actually, since we're talking about early podcasts, I have a great story to tell. I wanted to tell earlier. So there was a point, when you start a podcast with people and you're starting off new, you're not necessarily sure how they are going to be and how your dynamic is necessarily going to work, and you kind of have to ease it out and work through it. And there was a point when I knew that this podcast was going to work okay with me and Bandit, and we were prepping. I think it was for episode 2 or 3, and I'm getting ready, and I sent him the message on Skype. I'm like, all set? And a question mark, and Bandit replies. He says 5 minutes taking a crap, and I'm just like, oh, okay, all right. And it was just, and I was like, well, that's blunt, and I appreciate the honesty.
And now it comes full circle because Bandit was shit in a brick.
And that was the moment right then that I knew.
In both contexts, there you go.
Oh Jesus! That was the moment I knew. I was like,
these bricks are heavy, hard, and I have an infinite supply.
But yeah, The Incredibles is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's easily, obviously, inspired my career without me knowing about it. It's just, it has nothing but good places in my heart. And going back and rewatching it, I'm glad it stands up so beautifully. Excited for the sequel. 10 out of 10.
I also really like the moment where it's Dash and Violet versus all the thugs before their parents show up, because they have, it's different ways of like seeing, like even when like Elastigirl takes on that guard and she like whacks him with a stick and then dives in the water and then has to hide. Then Dash comes out and saves her, and then he gets overpowered, and then Violet comes in and saves him. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then they're running in the ball. It's just. There's so many good bits to that.
How are you doing that? I don't know. Whatever you're doing, don't stop.
And then they run over their mom and dad.
Yeah. And there's that, you get that whole great bit where they have that brief action fight, and then that all the baggers run at them, and you get that action superhero pose, which has become like my favorite gif ever of just the Incredibles ready to fight. And you get that really awesome like 30-second bit where they're just kicking ass for like 30 seconds, and Elastigirl's punching guys, and Bob's throwing people across the jungle, and Dash is running, creating a dust cloud, and Violet's blocking all the bullets. It's perfection.
Yeah, and there's quite a few action scenes, and they're all really good. There's like a different vibe to each of them, and there's like 2 different scenes of sneaking into the base, but it's not boring because you get to see one of how Bob does it, Mr. Incredible, and then one of how Elastigirl does it. And it's like you get to see the different styles of them, and it's really interesting. And it's such a great movie. It really is. It's just such a great movie.
It just shows how many great scenes there are, because we've not even talked about the scene in the cave when Elastigirl was saying, "These aren't the kids in your cartoons. They will kill you if they get the chance."
Of course, you would like that part. That's your favorite bit from it.
No, but I mean, Billy's absolutely right. Just
My favorite character, my favorite villain in the movie is not Syndrome. It's the guy who punches Dash off of the blade machine before he hits the cliff.
Before he crashes into the cliff.
This movie has a body count.
Tell you what, really if I make a big budget movie, I'll make you the guy that like shoots a village and like just burns children. I got you.
But you know, in line with that scene,
no one else.
But in line with that scene where she explains to the kids, like, these villains are not like the ones in the cartoon show. They will kill you if they get the chance. It kind of follows on that, like, how Syndrome is also pretty lethal. And, like, I think that's good. Like, it's okay to kind of scare kids in kids' movies. You know, like, I think there seems to be a tendency now where people think, hey, you know, you can't have like real danger or really scare kids in their movies. You can. You know, you watch a lot of the old Disney stuff, the really old Disney stuff. Man, they're scary, man. They're real scary.
There's one of the best cuts in any movie ever is when Bandit's running from the hunter, and we just get the shot of him running into the cave, and we hear boom, and it breaks my heart every time. Sorry, it literally just breaks my heart every time I watch that movie. Also, Dumbo is a horrific movie. If you guys want to watch it,
yes, it is.
It's grim, dude. Sorry. Anyways, that was a tangent.
I also like there's little sort of in jokes where, like, at the beginning when they have the whole thing of like that little montage of the lawyers and all that saying we don't want superheroes anymore, and the newspapers are appearing on screen. One of them is X-ray vision peeping Tom.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, that would totally happen if that was
the guy who tries
an Ant-Man comic about that.
The guy he tries to commit suicide, and he says, "You didn't save my life. You ruined my death."
Yeah, that's pretty dark for a kids movie, but it works.
There's the great scene after the cave when Violet talks to her mother and says, I'm sorry I couldn't do the force field around the plane. And what they do, they don't like chastise Violet for it. It's more like Elastigirl is saying, no, I shouldn't have put that pressure on you. It was wrong of me to do that. And I just love how they acknowledge that, and how parents aren't like always going to be perfect and in the moment have all of the right answers, and that she should develop in her own time. And there's a lot to it.
After that chat, when she puts her mask on, that's the first time she brushes the hair out of her face, and you see her full face instead of like her like hiding behind her hair. Yeah, yeah. It did occur to me though. Why does she like that guy? He seems like a total tool. You know?
And his voice is so high. It's weird. It's like, I don't know.
I like the bit where he's talking to her and he's like, yeah.
My name's Tony.
But at the end there, he has a high voice, but then he like checks himself and goes back to doing the deep voice again. I like that. But he's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, movie's great.
Are you mocking me? No, I am not. This is how I always talk.
He's trying to copy me.
And at the end of the movie, when Dash is doing the race, and they're like, "No, slow down, go back. No, speed up, make it close. Come second." And there's the parent next to them, just looking at them, perplexed.
That's the role I wanted in any movie ever. Just the guy of like, what do you do? It's the look. It's so perfect. It's
I'll only be the best by a tiny bit.
And then of course we get one of the best cliffhangers in movie like ever. You know, and the reason we've all been looking forward to Incredibles 2 for 14 years. And you know, we get that. And if you listen to the audio carefully when they're all putting on their mask, you can hear Dash put it on really quick. Like if the camera's panned over to Violet and the baby and all those guys, and you can hear the and then we pan over and Dash has his mask on. I mean, because I watch a movie with headphones, you can pick up on those things. And then Bob opens up his chest and it's like, bam, Incredibles. You're like, yay! Another one.
Someone asked in the chat, they said, with Incredibles 2, are you sad they're not doing a time jump? I actually was a little bit sad because I would have liked to see like teenage Dash doing like maybe Violet in college or something. But you know, what do I know? I'm sure they know what they're doing.
I think what this movie needs to be is it's got this rough task of following up what that movie left off with. And they could do a happy medium and open the cold open with the Underminer fight and then jump again like they did in the first movie. But I'm fine with them because they did change the landscape for superheroism again. You know, some guy came in and tried to destroy the world, and they came in and saved the day, and so the world's going to change because of that. And I'm interested to see what this movie will be more of a commentary on these days. I'm interested to see how they tackle the woman's in charge now kind of thing, because Elastigirl's a strong character in the first movie, and you don't. With the exception of the one great shot when she checks herself out in the mirror, because like, oh god, which is awesome.
Right, yeah.
There's a brilliant tweet. It says, "Me in 2004, wow, Elastigirl is thick," and me in 2018, wow, Elastigirl is thick, and I'm depressed.
Yeah,
it's a great way to for the Incredibles 2, like how it's going to be a movie about a stay-at-home dad. Because I guess outside of animation, it's a portrayal that you don't see that often. You don't often see movies about stay-at-home dads. And,
no, unless it's a comedy. They only seem to do it if it's a comedy, and this is kind of a comedy.
But it will still. I'm sure that there'll still be some like dramatic moments, or there'll be something that needs to be said, and it won't be
that he's doing this because he wants her to be successful in life, and that's
so we can succeed.
Yes,
and it's sort of implied in that as well. He wants her to do it so that the supers can come back again, and then the kids, if they want to be supers later, they can be. At least that's how I interpreted that as well.
Which is
so our kids can have that choice.
Yeah. Oh, see, he's already getting me in the heartstrings. Haven't even seen the movie yet. Watch. I'm gonna come back next week and hate it. I promise.
So the best quotes of the Incredibles 2 so far. So our kids can have that choice, and yum yum cookie.
No, the best quote. What was it for the from different dimensions?
From the other dimension.
Hey guys, just so you know, Trilbee and Trey, if you check Google Chat, the questions I've been saving, I've been posting them there as well. So if I drop out again, you can go to Google Chat during listener questions, and they're all there. And also for those of you guys in the chat, last calls, I guess, for questions.
Oh yeah, I see them.
Oh yes, I see this one now.
I almost froze my computer because of it. I got very scared. I was like, uh-oh.
And I'm surprised we've not talked so much about Edna Mode, who is such a great character in the film, and how she even says when Mr. Incredible comes to her mansion for the first time, and she says, "Oh no, I won't do it. You have to ask me before I change my mind." You want to make me the soup? Oh, I accept.
She's like the Q of this universe, isn't she?
Oh yeah. And it breathes like Egyptian cotton. It's really great.
Yeah, but like I mentioned,
fight, win, and then come back. I enjoy your visits.
Pull yourself together. Yes.
You're Elastigirl.
I think she's the moral of the story. I think we should all aspire to be more like Edna Mole, incredible in our own way, and not letting anyone else put a label on us. That's at least what I take away from the movie. I mean, the only other stuff I've got is like little things that I like. Like I like the bit where like Bob, the first time he lands on the island, and he can't fit his gut through out of the pod, so he smashes the pod apart, and then when he stretches, his belly comes. His belly comes up.
The trailer, the first trailer for this came out at the release of Monsters Inc. or was it Finding Nemo? It was one or the other. And the teaser trailer, and the teaser trailer for it was Mr. Incredible suiting up in his office, and it's the red suit, and he's like, "Yeah, showtime," and he tries to put the belt on, and he can't fit into the belt, and that was the teaser trailer for The Incredibles.
Yeah,
it's a really funny teaser.
Who does Pixar trailers?
And he says maybe a salad or something like that. Yeah.
I gotta know who does Pixar's trailers because they need to be fired. I don't know because Pixar like The Incredibles 2 trailers have been pretty good, and they've relied on the Jack and O's score. But I mean, good God, like the trailers for Coco were terrible. I mean, I'm a little upset by the marketing campaign for Pixar these days.
But yeah, it's why it's similar to like Lego Movie and How to Train Your Dragon, where I'm sure the films will be great, but the kids' trailers are just marketed a specific way. And I'm sure there's charts and graphs and algorithms or whatever that are able to generate great trailers that will make a lot of money. And yeah, so I'm sure the films will be fine, even if the trailers don't tend to blow me away for kids' films.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else?
I think that's everything I had. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
I got everything.
I'm happy with that. Trey, anything else?
No, sorry, I was looking at the questions.
No. All right.
Yeah,
so
really looking forward to Incredibles 2 when I see it in a month.
Question is,
good luck not getting spoiled. By the way, good luck. Have fun with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you reckon you guys would give it like a perfect 10 out of 10? I think I would.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think when going into it, I had great fond memories of it, but I'm surprised at how well it aged. Like the only criticisms I have are that sometimes like the animation, while great, it's like some of the backgrounds don't have like Edna Mode's office and her and where she tests out the suits and shows them to Elastigirl. Like the backgrounds are a bit sparse. There's not the detail that you expect from so many other Pixar films. But this is 2004. This is the very first animated film with all humans. Like all the resources are going to the right places, and these are.
I'll give you a background, and I'll raise you the hair when they crash in the water. Like my God, like that was something we noticed. We noticed back then. I mean, it was. I don't know. I thought the hair. I think the hair in this one was pretty impressive. I forget which part it is.
When they're dropping out of the plane and Violet and Bash's hair are animated basically identically. They're going all the way back and up, and it's some of it's not great, but it's nitpicking in the grand scheme of things. And like Syndrome's a terrific villain. I love even the minor characters like Bernie and like the
don't Bernie me.
Even the little moments are great in The Incredibles. Yeah.
That man out there, he's getting robbed. Well, let's hope we don't cover him. And the scene with the old woman who's like, pretend to be upset.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I know you're upset.
Pretend to be upset. It's great. It's lovely. I love it.
Listener questions time?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I'm just saving. I got the TRG. There we go. There's another one from Matthew. I'll just got to save that one.
Okay, I'm going to cut off in the chat.
I love it how last time, Trey, you put in cut off. And somebody said cut on.
I was going to say, don't say it because they're going to do it again.
Well, I saw that previously. You put in that cut off. I'm like, what's he talking about? I didn't understand what you meant.
Well, I do that on the Facebook page as well. Yes. So listener question portion of the show gets me answer listener questions here in the chat. Do you want to go ahead and kick us off here, Bandit?
Yep. Hang on. I'm writing the timestamp.
I'm just going to keep singing the Incredibles theme. Ooh, because E3 is happening at the moment. So the latest trailer for The Last of Us 2 has just dropped.
Wait, what? What you say?
Because it's E3 at the moment, so The Last of Us 2 trailer that's just dropped. And Avengers Infinity War has just passed $2 billion.
That's great.
And Ocean's 8 has debuted to a franchise high.
Yeah, I saw that. Ocean's 8 did like $42 million this weekend. Yeah, I've heard decent things. I have no intention to see a Gary Ross directed film, but yeah, absolutely.
So Ocean's 8 made 41 million, and Solo dropped a further.
We didn't talk about the First Man trailer. We didn't talk about First Man.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, you don't want to see it. You didn't see it.
No, I'm sure the film will be great.
Yeah,
that trailer just gave me nothing to work with.
It's not a great trailer, and I was very disappointed. That's what I was going to bring up. But because the teaser for La La Land is exceptional, because it's just them walking in the city, and they've got great trailers, and maybe it's because Chazelle isn't writing this. This isn't his baby. This is him more of like wanting to direct another story. I don't know, but thinking about this trailer where I'm like, I saw the whole movie. I know what happens. What is Chazelle going to bring to this that's new and interesting?
I would laugh so hard if come Oscar night, they read out the nominees for Best Picture are so and so. The winner is First Man. Oh no, sorry, there was an issue. A Star Is Born. You won. And Damien Chazelle is robbed again.
Widows. You guys won Best Picture. Did you see the Widows trailer for the new Steve McQueen film? I'm interested to see that Steve McQueen's doing an action film. Essentially,
The Incredibles 2 you won Best Picture.
Please, could you imagine it's that good?
That'd be cool.
So, guys, sorry, just jumping in there. So,
The Last of Us 2, you won Best Picture.
So, list of questions. Jumping into super chats. First of all, thank you so much. We have 4 super chats, 3 of which are from Sam Heinrich. Thank you, Sam. We love you, Sam. You're awesome. And 10 of that 17 is him apologizing for banning Lid Star. It's cool, man. It's cool.
He's carrying his own cross.
He says, "Where's my super suit?"
Oh, I barely mentioned that scene.
How did we not mention the meme scene of the entire movie?
My evening is in danger.
We're talking about the greater good.
I'm
the greatest good you ever had.
Well, for The Incredibles 2, I'm glad that they've not if they are repeating or doing a build upon of that scene in the sequel. I'm glad that it's only been alluded to in the trailers. I want them to do a repeat of that scene in the sequel, but I'm glad they've not relied on it.
Oh my god!
I hope they don't actually show her. I hope all we ever see of her is we just hear her voice shouting from the other room. Mother in Big Bang Theory. You never actually see.
I was going to say the dad and the nanny. Wow, that's an obscure reference.
But Sam Heinrich, he said, do you also hear that Matt Reeves' The Batman film isn't DCEU most likely anymore? It was reported by Deadline. Rest in peace, DC. Ugh.
I don't think the DCEU is the DCEU anymore, right? I think Justice League was the final nail in that coffin.
Yeah,
I know. The only thing I know about them is I know they filmed Aquaman because they were filming it near me.
Well, that comes out in December. That's scheduled for December.
Yeah, that trailer's going to drop in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that means we should be getting a poster soon.
Actually, let me. Hopefully, this won't crash my internet again. Let me Google the Batman.
I've googled it. If you'd prefer me check without crashing your computer, but in the past couple of hours, these are the headlines. So they could have no sources or they could be clickbait. But it says Matt Reeves' The Batman is likely going to be a Batman reboot with no Ben Affleck. So I think the DCEU is going to be focusing more on standalone movies, and if the demand is there, maybe team them up.
But that's the way to do it, honestly. That's what they should have been doing this whole time. I mean, Bandit made a video years ago, back when I was just a lonely little fan watching him on the YouTubes, and you made a video about how the idea of having Batman in the Man of Steel sequel is a good idea because Man of Steel can be your launching off point for the other franchises, and you don't bring Wonder Woman until the third movie, And I remember you were talking about it with, I can't remember who you were talking about it with back then, but yeah, I mean, what you do is you do your solo films, and then you eventually do your team up films, maybe one or two different characters, and then you bring them together for Justice League.
But I mean, it's strange that they're making the Batman without Ben Affleck, because number one, Ben Affleck actually turned out to be pretty good, despite all the hate.
He's a great Batman. I called it in 2013, by the way. I'm just going to say it now. I know no one cares anymore because it's 5 years later and the franchise is dead. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it seems weird now that they're making the Batman without Ben Affleck. But also, secondly, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I don't think I want another Batman movie. I was like, I think we get it at this point. Like, can't we? There's so many other characters in the DC universe. Like, I'm actually kind of more looking forward to Shazam than I am Batman. Because Shazam's a unique new character. He's a little kid that transforms into this big Superman.
Don't tell Trilbee. Don't tell Trilbee.
What? A kid? Where? Let me smash his face.
Is there a shotgun getting caught? If you'll excuse me.
and there's some good moments in that, because Shazam's powers are magic based, whereas Superman is vulnerable to magic. He's not vulnerable to magic. He just doesn't have any extra protection against magic by his superpowers. So that means that when there's been a couple of times when Shazam and Superman have actually fought each other, and it's actually kind of even for that reason.
Yeah.
So unless Superman grabs him by the throat and like freeze or like laser visions his eye holes. And
Well, I remember J-Raw had an idea of that Shazam, when he transforms into the big character, he should be like John Cena, because John Cena is kind of like a big kid, but he also kind of looks the way that a little kid would sort of want to look if he's transformed into a man, So I'll be like, yeah, I think that'd be really good.
Well, I've got hope in this. The guy that got to play him, Zachary Levi. I think he's great. He's in one of my favorite movies, Tangled. He voices Flynn Rider in Tangled, and he's been in other things before, and he's very fun to watch. So I have faith in him.
What was his name again? I might Google him.
Zachary Levi. I think there's a picture of him as Shazam, like in the costume, and it looked pretty good.
I've really got to get back and see. I'm way behind on all this stuff.
History. Control H. Let's see.
But I'm surprised that I agree with Bandit in that because I would be okay with not seeing any more Batman for a while, or if they're gonna introduce the Batman, then just drastically change the origin story. Like maybe the robber should kill the kid as well, not just the parents.
Oh god!
But that's my opinion.
Instead of shooting, the parents, he just shoots the kid.
Is Willy Wonka your favorite movie ever because it's just kids dying for 2 hours?
Veruca Salt got what was coming to her.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the only other super chat we have is from JS Stampy, who sent us $9.99. Is that your cousin, Trey? Because I remember your cousin sent money that was like $4.99. You said he said $4.99 just to annoy you.
Fun fact: apparently YouTube taxed him, and it came up to $5.38. But no, that's not my cousin.
Really? YouTube isn't supposed to add tax. He's supposed to take tax out of it.
There's two things that you can never avoid in life: death and taxes.
Yeah, that's right. Well, JS. Oh, I switched off screen sharing. I suppose I should show it again. But JS Stampy, he actually didn't ask a question, but we appreciate the $9.99, Stampy. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us on this show. Yes, we love you all so much.
So much enthusiasm, Trey.
Listen. Okay, it has been quite the long day.
4:30 in the morning here, so I'm losing my enthusiasm a little bit, but I'll power through.
That's all right.
Let's get to these awesome questions that we're very excited to have.
The first one is just Bandit, your Star Wars fan fiction is great. Hope you do the Vader film. I don't think I'll do the Vader film, but I have rethought it, and I am going to redo Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and whatever Episode 9 is into a new trilogy as well. Boy. So I am going to do it. And it's going to have
be careful on the use of females in the Star Wars in your movies, okay?
Well, I'm going to bring back talent, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so yes, Quirks, Brit 4321. Yes, there will be more Star Wars fan fiction. Okay, Daniel Torres says, question: why has Trey become the killjoy of the podcast?
Why has Hollywood released so many bad movies lately? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. You release Infinity War, Deadpool, and Upgrade in the same 3-week span. You're going to get a lot of bad talk out of me. I liked Solo. I loved A Quiet Place, and I loved The Incredibles. I have movies that I like, ladies and gentlemen, but I can continue to crap on things if I'd like to. It's my opinion. Have you guys seen that Vine? That's a funny Vine.
That's right. Well, Chris Delatoro says, question: do you guys think it was a missed opportunity not to go for the Time Jump Incredibles 2? Oops, we already talked about that. We appreciate the question, though. Movies by Angel says, question: worst performance of your favorite actors?
It's a great question.
The Rock in Rampage, because I saw it not that long ago, and he's just phoning it in. But I still love The Rock. Everyone loves The Rock.
Daniel Day-Lewis. Excuse me. Wow, that was bad. I'm sorry. Daniel Day-Lewis in Phantom Thread. I don't know if anyone saw that movie. It was one of the Oscar movies that came out this last year. I don't. Yeah. Well, he's Daniel Day-Lewis, and he's usually great, and he's always a blast to watch. Except in Phantom Thread, I thought it was just awful. Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Hunger Games.
Emily Blunt in Sherlock Gnomes. I didn't make up the movie, damn it.
Benedict Cumberbatch in season 4 of Sherlock.
Oh yeah, that's a fair one.
Well, Diego Gonzalez says, question: Bandit, is your nephew the son of your sister that you
Julianne Moore in Kingsman 2. Sorry, that was my last one. Go ahead.
Or do you have multiple siblings? Also, how many nephews, nieces do you have? Note to self: Diego is very interested in my nieces and nephews. That's okay. Yes, my nephew is the son of my sister that I mentioned quite a few times because we live just up the road from each other. And yeah, I've got multiple sisters, and I've got many nieces and nephews, and they're scattered all around the planet. So yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
my sisters are all boy factories too. All my sisters have boys. They just pump out the boys, pumping out that XY chromosome
upholding the patriarchy.
That's right. Power to the patriarchy. Yes.
Jesus.
Okay, so Chris Delatoro says, see, I'm going through these fast because you guys are losing enthusiasm. Chris Delatoro says, question: do you prefer waffles, pancakes, or French toast? Now, truly, I'm sure you can get enthusiastic about this question.
Yeah, why do we have to choose? Just put them all on the plate.
Okay, so some of the best waffles I've ever had was in this place in Chicago. I went to Chicago last summer, and I went to this place called Harry's. It's on the pier. It's a beautiful, wonderful place. I'm not going to say they served me alcohol for legal reasons. They didn't, by the way. They definitely didn't. Wink. And I ordered the chicken and waffles. The chicken was okay, but the waffles were exceptional. It was like cake. It was the best thing ever. And then the pizza there was awesome too. Anyways, I can't wait to go back to Chicago. What? Did I say that out loud?
Out of those three things, I'd go for French toast. Get some French toast with some syrup and maybe a bit of cream on there. Or get some blueberries, raspberries.
For me, it's pancakes. I love pancakes.
What was that noise? Did you guys hear that? Was that you, Trilbee?
Yeah, it was me going.
He's doing a Homer Simpson over there, though.
Oh, my microphone's all wet.
Actually, that reminds me. I was going to send you some Top Deck chocolate, wasn't I? I have to make a note to do that. Or if there's any of our listeners out there who are flying, from the Gold Coast to the UK anytime within the next week, send me an email. You can take the Top Deck to Trilbee for me.
You're going to be the mule for Trilbee. Wow. Trilbee, if there's any time you're going to be assassinated, now is when it's going to happen. Some guys are going to be like,
no, I'm going to take that risk for Top Deck.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, pancakes are the best. Though. I really like pancakes.
I think pancakes especially a good all-rounder.
You got lots of lemon juice and the sugar and especially some syrup. Ooh, mix it all together.
Nutella pancakes. If you guys have not had Nutella pancakes, they are to die for. And it's very simple. You get the pancake batter, get some Nutella, cover that up, flip. It's you think it's chocolate chip, but it's not. It's Nutella, so it's better. Anyways.
Right. So Matthew Mann says, question: who is your favorite Walt Disney princess and prince? Shrek. There we go.
I think if you had to choose
wrong company,
if you had to choose a pair, like you couldn't have one without the other. I would go for the couple from Tangled, Rapunzel and Flint Rider.
Flynn Rider, yes sir. Who I call Han Solo. He's just Han Solo, but it's awesome.
Yeah, if you go for a pair, I think those two are great with each other. But separately, favorite princess, maybe I don't know if Belle counts because she's not an actual princess until she marries into it. I'm not sure.
I think about that quote from The Country from Old Men. You married into it. I just him talking to Belle.
Yeah. But yeah, because Belle doesn't start. She doesn't start off as being part of royalty. She just really digs animals and marries into it accidentally.
I appreciate Snow White because it's such a time capsule for 1939 or whenever it came out. Because she gets kidnapped and she wakes up and the first thing she does is clean up the house. She's like, "Oh, the house is filthy. I'll clean up this house these 7 guys are living in." Oh my. I don't know. Probably in terms of favorite princess, Mulan's pretty awesome. Pocahontas should be great, but she's not. And in terms of Prince, I love Hans from Frozen because he's the one good thing about that movie because he's so evil. It's disgusting.
I was going to say, typical you to pick the villain as your favorite Prince.
It's so evil. It's disgusting. He's having such a great time, and he's also voiced one of my favorite actors, who's in Mindhunter, and he's also in Hamilton. God forbid I've seen Hamilton. But yeah, so
for people who are wondering why I picked Shrek with Shrek and Shrekette, no, I was actually referring to Shrek and Donkey.
Shrekette.
Shrekette. Shrek. You mean Princess?
Oh God, you killed Trey.
First of all, Shrek's DreamWorks. Let's just get that off the bat. Same producer in Jeffrey Katzenberg, but different studio, so that doesn't count.
Oh, Trey, the grumpy old man of the podcast. All right, okay. Matthew also asked another question. He says, should they make another Toy Story movie?
Yes.
Yeah, really? I don't think we've got a choice in that.
I made a video about this when they announced this like 3 years ago. I made a movie about that. I made a video about this, about why Toy Story 4 is a great idea. And it's just,
but why? They wrapped it up so good with 3. Why ruin it by making another one?
Now you're in a different chapter. Just because Return of the Jedi ended doesn't mean you can't go do Force Awakens. You know what I'm saying? Like that's that section of the
maybe
story.
They shouldn't have. You know, there's a bad example there.
You can also refer to the expanded universe. You can also refer to expanded universe, Bandit. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just because that story has been told. I heard Chili yawn. Just because that story has been told does not mean that we can't go off into the other adventures. I'm so excited.
But should you though? Should you?
Should you make any movie? You know,
with some movies, no, you shouldn't.
With the Toy Story franchise, I would have been happy if it was a completely new cast of characters. I think that Woody and Buzz's story is over. I'm sure that they'll maybe do a good justification to keep it going, but as far as I was concerned, Toy Story 3 was a great wrap up to their story, and future Toy Story movies could be with a different cast of characters. And I was kind of happy with after Toy Story 3 came out, and for the next couple of years, they had 10 or 15-minute short films with the Toy Story cast. I thought that was a good way to continue the franchise without fully indulging in a sequel. But for Toy Story 4 with the original cast, they'll need to do a lot of justification in my eyes to make it work. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Is the plot still the same, isn't it? Isn't it about them going out to find Bo Peep, which is a great idea, by the way.
Taken, but with toys.
Yeah, and apparently they call it more tuned like a romantic comedy than anything else, which I'm excited for. It just, I think there's too much good in that franchise for me to see it just kind of end there. I don't know. I feel like they haven't made a slip up yet. Personally, I don't like Toy Story 2, but in terms of
whoa, you don't what?
We've had this
Toy Story
conversation.
2 is pretty good.
We've had this conversation on the show before. Yeah.
Stop the podcast.
Well, we'll trade those. Yeah, I think we have, but go ahead if you want to do it again.
Listen, all right. It's really slow, and to be fair, I haven't seen it.
You're slow. I'm sorry.
Ironically,
I didn't mean that.
that was very quick wit, Trilbee. Good job. No, I don't think it has the emotional punch that everyone thinks it has.
Punch you.
The Sarah McLachlan song is fun, but
it's nearly 5 in the morning. I get angrier when I'm tired.
Trey, just don't say you think the movie sucks. I don't want to guess what he's going to say in response to that.
I love the comment. So Trey hates 1/3 of the Toy Story trilogy. Yeah, that's how the math works. Yes, good job.
Well, so do we really want to go into this? Or?
No,
I don't mind if we do. But...
This is a different conversation.
I'll say things that we'll both regret.
Yeah. Well, Trey, there is a question here for you, and it's actually a genuine question. It's not just trolling you. Ampwich says, question for Trey. Which is the best, The Incredibles, The Dark Knight, or The Empire Strikes Back, or The Force Awakens? Your 4 favorite movies, Trey.
Those are not my 4 favorite movies. They're 3 of my favorite movies. The Force Awakens is not my top movies of all time. It's great. I don't think it's the best though.
Okay, so if Incredibles, Dark Knight, and Empire Strikes Back, which would you pick?
The Dark Knight, easily. Really? In terms of my list, yeah. Well, The Dark Knight holds a special place in my heart because it's the movie that got me into making movies. And for me, I got my first camera after I saw that movie. It shaped the way I am today, most definitely. And The Incredibles obviously had a very key part in the foundation of who I am also. But I mean, and in terms of like The Empire Strikes Back, I mean, it's just such a great film. But easily, The Dark Knight has defined my psyche, I imagine. Like I found myself. There are set pictures of me directing my short film, and I unintentionally dressed like Christopher Nolan one day. And so like you find a picture of Nolan directing a movie like Dunkirk, and you put the picture of me side by side, and we're dressed the exact same. And I did not do that on purpose. So I have to go with The Dark Knight.
I like the chat saying it's Chris Del Toro saying his 4 only favorite movies.
You guys want me to screenshot my favorite movies and release them in the chat? I can. I mean, I don't know how.
You've got to live up to the persona they put you up. They put you on.
Yeah. Well, why do you think I keep hating women all the time?
Why do you think I just want to throttle kids?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Well, Chris Del Toro also said, question, any advice for love? Well, you came to the right place, Chris, because if there's anyone who knows love, it's Trey. The grumpy old man of the podcast. Any advice for love?
What's that Rick and Morty quote? It's a chemical concoction in our brain that
causes animals to breed.
Yeah, it causes animals to breed. I don't know. If you feel a warm rumbling in your stomach when you think about a person, that's probably love. The only problem is when they love you back. You know what I'm saying? That's the real tragedy, isn't it?
Let me tell you something. If a woman is not married and does not have kids by the age of 30, she goes a little bit crazy because the biological clock starts ticking. She goes a little bit insane.
Bandit, having 30 cats is not crazy.
That's right, but it's also
we're gonna get so much hate. Oh my god!
What? I'm just telling the truth.
No.
But it also applies. It also applies to guys because they say that, but not for women, it's mental health. With guys, it's more physical health. They say a guy remaining single throughout his life, especially from the age of 30 to 40 on, it's the equivalent of smoking 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day. Like you take the life expectancy of someone who smokes that much compared to someone who, a guy who stays single, it's pretty much the same. It's because we don't have any reason to take care of ourselves. We're more reckless. You know, we drink all day, drink all night, and all smoke and blah, 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 blah. And so any advice for love? Yeah, give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Okay, so my advice
don't go to dates. Dates never work.
That's not true.
Have you ever had a very comfortable, good date? No, it's a broken system. It's always awkward.
It's always weird. I was going to say, yeah, I've had a good date.
Trilbee's getting married. I'm sure he went on dates with his current fiance.
I've never. The amount of times though you hear people say, "Oh yeah, I went on a really good date." was like, it dwarfs the amount of times anyone can tell you about horrible dates they've been on. Don't do it.
Well, because a good date's just a nice time out, but a bad date's a horrible moment of your life.
Yeah,
well, dates are good once you're already in a relationship with the girl. Then it's comfortable. But if you're getting to know the girl, it's the most awkward, uncomfortable situation to be in.
If you have the mind of a 12-year-old, just be yourself.
Dates are similar to.
Well, what if yourself sucks, Trey?
That person had to learn how to. You know what? I was about to phrase that sentence in a way that I'm not going to say. That person's just going to have to love the way yourself sucks.
But dates are like editing. Dates are like editing in movies, where you only notice if it goes really, really wrong.
Yeah,
that's a great analogy. That's a great analogy.
Well, my advice for dates, like if you really like somebody, or if you fall in love with somebody, but they're dating somebody else, you've got to assert your dominance. So you got to kill that guy. Then you've got to write in his blood, outside of your crush's date, "Bitch, I love you." And
you have to dress up in a skeleton outfit and chase him around the high school gym,
or something like Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger, something that you will really get the woman's motor running. No, but
really get the woman's motor rolling. Oh my god,
her motor running.
Oh my god,
is that what the kids say nowadays? I'm so hip and pop and fresh.
Oh man.
But for dating, like genuine thing, of course, like respect a woman's boundaries. There's no such thing as the friend zone. And not to say that your feelings are illegitimate if you feel like you are caught in the friend zone, but there's no. But when it comes to dating or talking to women or whatever, just don't force it. If that makes sense. You either have chemistry or you don't. Yes. There's plenty of fish in the sea, as cliche as that is. If one date doesn't work out, there's always somebody else. And sometimes you'll just be like, "Oh, I'm going to give up on dating. I'm just going to do whatever." And
I always hated that saying, Trilbee, because some people just suck at fishing as well. You know what I mean?
That's true. Linstar says in the chat, "Bam, you've been raped."
That's what I was laughing at. Yeah,
and then you'll think, "Oh, I'm just going to focus on my work. I'm not going to focus on dating." And the next thing you know, that you're not even going to be searching for it, and then the perfect person comes into your life.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's like you do have to work on yourself. Like if you yourself, if you don't like yourself, why would anybody else like you?
To quote the wonderful RuPaul, "If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else?" Can I get an amen?
Amen.
I do agree with that sentiment, though. Every time someone says, do you have a favorite person? I always go myself. And they say, why? I'm like, well, because if you're not your favorite person, then you're doing life wrong. And people call me arrogant for that. And I'm like, no. That's the only way I can live my life is if I love myself.
But I'd say if you're
direction.
For our listeners, if you're out there and you're like me and you don't have good experiences on dates, like Trilbee and Trey seem to do really well with dates, but I don't. Here's what you do.
Oh no, God no! I've had nothing but failed relationships.
Yeah, and I just got really lucky the first time.
Yeah. So we just happened to get one that hates Monty Python, but he still loves her for some reason. So
okay, so here's what you do. Instead of these dates where it's like you go to dinner and you're just staring at each other and you're sitting across from the table in a like body language is kind of confrontational. Normally you'd sit next to someone if it's more like don't do that. Instead, pick something that's a shorter activity, less tension, like just going for coffee. But what I think is a good idea is if it's an activity that you already regularly do. I'm talking about like when you're very initially getting to know the girl. Okay, once you already know her, you can go on like proper dates and all that. But like early on when you're getting to know the girl,
it's like if you really fun idea, take them swimming. Sorry, that's what I did. Sorry. Anyways,
take them swimming and pull the whole. Oh, I forgot my swimming outfit.
No, that's not what.
Make into a date an activity you already do. Like if you have a dog and you walk the dog, just get her to come with you when you walk the dog. So that's it's true. Like, or I don't know if you're shopping or whatever. Actually, maybe don't shopping. Yeah, but find like if you go to the gym, get her to go to the gym with you. Like don't create a special event. Turn a normal event you do into the day. Yeah,
I also think it's all about framing as well. Like if there's somebody you like, or you've got a friend, or like someone who you might want to develop into a relationship or something, just say, "Do you want to get a coffee or something? Or do you want to meet up for like lunch or whatever?" Don't say the word date. And then if it goes well, if that like social get together is fine and you hit it off or whatever, then maybe say, "Do you want to do this again? Maybe we can make a date of it or something." I don't know.
Do you guys want to hear a great first date story?
Go for it.
Yes.
I have a feeling we don't have a choice, but go
Welcome
on.
to the Love Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the Love Zone.
Should I start talking really close to the microphone like this? Hello, listeners.
Our first date was to go see Arrival. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the film Arrival with Amy Adams, but it's a pretty heady movie. And like oddly enough, I thought it was like the movie was in. I was like, oh my god, this is the worst idea to take a girl to see Arrival for. So I'll be honest, I just wanted to see the movie, and I was like, yeah, let's go see Arrival. But in the end, it worked out because we both had a very in-depth conversation, and I realized she was intelligent, which is a great plus, by the way, when they try to be really smart. So yeah. Nice little first date story. It was no horror story, shockingly.
Because I'm going to be away in London working for my birthday, we're going to celebrate my birthday tomorrow. And I say tomorrow in like 5 hours time, because it's like 5 a.m. here. And my partner's she's booked for me and her to go to a trampoline park. I'm going to fucking marry that woman. That's how you win. She's taking me to a trampoline park for my birthday.
You're gonna break your foot. You're gonna break your foot. Be careful.
Oh, no, it's gonna
sign. Could you make sure she like records that on her phone? I'd love to see the video of you just jumping up and down on the trampoline, going hee hee, yeah,
go me, yay.
And then tweet it out. We'll react to it on the show next week.
You'd
be like, I imagine you like Mantis in Avengers: Infinity War. You remember that scene where she's jumping, like on a trampoline behind,
yeah. I'll put it on Twitter and I'll tag you guys in it so you can see it.
Look forward to it. Okay, so yeah, there's some very convoluted, all over the place advice for love, guys.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. Okay. I think we've only got like 4 questions left. Linstar says, "What films do you find nostalgic and have an emotional connection to?"
Cat in the Hat.
What?
Mike Myers, Cat in the Hat. Now,
is that a joke answer? Or?
No, it's
You're not serious.
I am, and here's why. So I have vague memories of going to the movies, but I'm almost certain Cat in the Hat is the first time I remember watching a movie in its entirety in the movie theater. I was 3 years old, and we went and saw Cat in the Hat. I remember watching the first Spider-Man movie because I remember the parade sequence happening on the big screen. But I remember in its entirety, the Universal logo being all colorful, all the way to everyone dancing as the credits rolled. I remember that entire movie, and I loved it. And I quote that movie all the time. And it's not good. It's not a good movie. But
Dirty
I love
Ho?
that movie. Yes. Oh my God. If you say that in a classroom at my school, or if you did, everyone would laugh because everyone always got it. It's one of those movies that's like nobody knows it. No one knows it. We all know it sucks. But it's also High School Musical 2, which I think is unabashedly a good film. I don't know. I don't care what anybody says. It's unironically and objectively.
That wasn't my generation. But if I was your age, or like a few years younger, I probably would have been watching.
I rewatched it a month ago, and it's still good. I had a great time watching High School Musical 2. It's really fun. There you go, guys. It's fun. But yeah, you guys have your answer.
So Trey, why do you like Toy Story? No, why do you not like Toy Story 2, but you like High School Musical 2?
I hate it when people do that. When people pick 2 movies and compare them like they're equivalents. Every movie's its own movie. You can't compare them.
How do you like Twilight Saga Eclipse but hate Avengers Infinity War? Listen, guys, it's just...
Troy, why are you the almond whiter in this podcast? And I don't just mean that because you're a critic.
Because I gave it a rotten review. Listen, it's like a 6 out of 10. It's not. I don't hate it. It's just not particularly very good. Is all. Keep in mind that 1 and 3 are 10 out of 10s, and Toy Story 2 is like a 6. So just okay. All right.
But films I'm nostalgic for, like anything like Disney and animated, like Hercules or The Lion King, like the Disney Renaissance stuff that I grew up watching on VHS. I'm just looking at my DVD collection and see if there's anything I'm also nostalgic for.
Right. So Bandit, you must be nostalgic for like Casablanca, like North by Northwest, those kind of old 40s back when you're in the prime of your youth, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bandit was their opening weekend for Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, the original Birth of a Nation, really good. Yeah, which we have reviewed on this podcast, everyone, and we were like, I remember that because we were. You were there, Trey, remember? But then you left before we started talking about Birth of the Nation. So we're like, now that Trey's gone, we can talk about how great it is.
That was a funny one.
Oh, God.
Actually, last week's live stream, that was a really good live stream too. I thought about it afterwards. I was like, that was a good one, and we were only talking about the Lost World.
The Wallace and Gromit films, I'm really nostalgic for.
Yes, yes.
I'm also nostalgic because I recorded them on VHS, so it even had like the BBC Two logo at the beginning and the end of it.
Sam, he's like, Trey, you are a confusing creature. Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Trey and women, the most confusing creatures of all.
Well, I think a nostalgic. I think a nostalgic film that I have a connection with. It's hard to say, but I don't know if it's really a nostalgic connection with. But I actually really like the movie Master and Commander: Far Side of the World. You know, Russell Crowe plays a
what?
Yeah, I know. It's a weird thing. Maybe it's because there's no women in the movie because it's all set on this ship. That's probably the reason. But I really like that movie. I've been thinking about doing like an in-depth review of it, but I got to finish my Last Jedi one. It's taking forever.
Oh yeah, that one's gonna kill at the view count there. That one's gonna.
I know no one will care by the time I finally put it out. They'll be like, "What?"
I'm talking about Master Commander, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that won't get any views. But I really like that movie. There's a lot of good themes in that I like, of like brotherhood and combined with duty, but also like when duty fails and.
Sorry, I wanted to look at the chat. I'm sorry.
A lot of very manly stuff that we've forgotten about in this day and age. It's a great movie. You should really check it out. So not exactly nostalgia, but I like it.
I never know when he's being serious. That's the worst part. Like he'll talk about how great a movie is, and he'll just drop a quote about women. Like, was that a joke? I never know. It's so dry sometimes.
How dare you? That is a great movie. It really is. It's got the whole sort of battle between these two ships and how they outsmart each other. It's to hell with you, man. That's awesome. I love that movie.
Really nostalgic for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Gene Wilder movie.
That's just it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's there's something special about just when you first see him and he does the little tumble and they lick the wallpaper and it's such a weird and bizarre film, but it's so great and charming.
Yeah, I actually watched it on Blu-ray the other week, and that it holds up. It's really great. And
sorry, just let me interrupt. You mentioned the lickable wallpaper. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but Roald Dahl was a sick pervert. Yes. Because there's a certain part of that wallpaper called snazberries. And he goes, the snazberries taste like snazberries.
I believe it's schnozberry or whatever. Yeah.
Snozberries. And the kid's like, snazberry? There's no such thing as a snazberry. Well, according to another book that Roald Dahl made that was not for children, it was a book about some woman that was collecting sperm from people all around the world and was combining it all together to create super sperm, to create a super baby. Definitely not a child's book. And in that, it mentions that snazberries are a man's jewel area, if you understand what I mean. So
we are the music makers.
So that means when
we are the dreamers of dreams.
So when the kids are up on the wall going with the snazberry, they're licking all the wallpaper. Oh boy. Damn you, Roald Dahl, you sick son of a...
Can that sound be my texting tone? Like my phone was just that was the best thing ever.
Yeah, so there you go. The Roald Dahl has the kids licking snazberries.
I'm no longer nostalgic for the movie.
Now you're not nostalgic right now.
Great. Okay. All right.
Let's move on. We've only got 3 more questions. Noah O says, question. Do you guys have any unpopular opinions? I do. Apparently loving Master and Commander makes me one of a kind. He says movies that you hate but everyone else loves, or vice versa. I can give you lots of movies I like that everyone else
I think Trey should abstain from answering because we will be here for a while.
Yeah.
Love you, Trey.
Yes, I'm really quite something, Shelby. Thank you.
I mean, I was the one and only person who liked Terminator Genesis. So
I think you and the only people that like Man of Steel on this planet.
Yeah,
I think it's just you and me.
I'm also the only person who hates all the Harry Potter movies.
God, what's wrong with you? Honestly, like, how do you sleep at night?
Very comfortably. I dream of Harry Potter being punched in the face and given wedgies all day long. That's how
you're like Salazar Slytherin, just a monster, just creating.
Just saying, J.K. Rowling's, guns, pretty much as useful as those stupid wands. They're like pew 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 with the wand. It's like just use a gun. It's the same thing, you idiots.
Probably Return of the Jedi. A lot of people love the movie. I can't stand it. Jurassic World. Well, I people don't necessarily love that movie though, but I hate
people are mixed on it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a movie that like is universally loved that I'm just like, no, thank you.
I don't like Life of Pi.
You monster.
Life of Pi is a bit pants. Technically, it's amazing, and like the CGI work and the cinematography is all great. And
you don't think the scene where he's on the boat, literally yelling at God as the monsoon is going to consume him, isn't heartbreaking? Oh my God, what's wrong with you, Trilbee?
Because
Richard Parker didn't look back at him. Richard Parker didn't look back.
It's just so twee. Oh, the lion's got a person name. It's like, no, go away.
The lions are metaphors for the people that were actually there. That was his way of dealing with this horrible situation of having to cannibalize other people.
He didn't look back at it in the end.
Exactly.
I think I gave it like two stars out of 5 initially. I need to like reread my review because I can't.
It's a 4 out of 10. You horrible person.
I can't properly like debate about the movie because I've not seen it since 2012. And I wasn't.
Well, don't you Skyfall.
Sorry.
Well, that's fair.
I heard you mention Skyfall. What?
Yeah, don't you hate Skyfall?
Oh yeah, but
yeah.
Well, lots of people don't like the Daniel Craig movies after Casino Royale. They're all pretty pants.
That's Skyfall's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Skyfall and Casino Royale are great.
Skyfall is in fact, pretty much all of the Daniel Craig Bond movies are the snozberries of the James Bond franchise. Okay, they're just he sucks, and he doesn't want to play James Bond, and it shows. It's like, just get rid of him and bring in someone who's actually enthusiastic about being James Bond. Every man wants to be James Bond except the man who's playing James Bond. What is going on with that?
For the next Bond film, Daniel Craig is getting paid £50 million for it, which is like $70 million, $80 million. Which is insane.
Well, Daniel Gawker got like $100 million for Spider-Man 2, so I mean that.
But I'm sure he would want to do it, and that people would like to see him in it. Whereas I think people like Daniel Craig has had a great run as Bond, but he is not the franchise. It can move on to different people.
Exactly. Why pay him so much money? Just bring in a new guy. Like we're used to that with James Bond. They just swap him out all the time.
Yeah, it's not like, this is the first time James Bond and we can't change it.
Being actors and bringing them back for money. I mean, Connery didn't want to do it after Thunderball. Like he was so out of it by the late films he did.
Give Tom Hiddleston a call. He'll do it.
Get back Timothy Dalton. He'd probably do it for free.
He'd be great. I'm a slasher of prices.
Okay, well, we've only got 2 questions left. GOD says, do you think Incredibles 2 will live up to the hype? I think it will. It seems to be, based off the early reviews. You guys think it'll live up to the hype?
I'm hoping for a film that's between a 7 and an 8. I'm hoping for a pretty good, solid adventure. I'm not going in expecting to be the best thing ever. Just I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, I've got similar expectations to Finding Dory, where the trailers weren't great, but I love the original and I have high hopes for the sequel. If it's like a 4-star movie or something around that ballpark, I'll probably be happy with it. Maybe topping or matching, surpassing the first film might be too high expectations to place on it. But as long as I have a really good time and that there's a lot of fun family dynamics, I think it'll be fine. It currently stands at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I kind of just want to see a movie that gets me excited to see more of this stuff. You know what I mean? I want a movie that's give me an Incredibles 3. I'll watch another one of those.
And you know what is because it's been a long wait for Incredibles 2, but I think in an age of movies where we have it seems like we're getting 50 billion Marvel movies every year and 7 billion Star Wars movies every year. It feels like that. To get the Incredibles that comes along once in a decade, that's great. That's good. We don't mind waiting a bit longer if we get we'd rather have higher quality and less quantity than the reverse.
Yeah. Like, what's the Pixar movie next year? It's Toy Story 4 next year, yeah? Do we know what's happening after that? Or because normally they have this schedule years in advance, but...
Well, I know a few years ago they released the schedule for, Finding Dory, Coco, Cars 3, Incredibles 2, and Toy Story 4. That was kind of the schedule for the last 5
Gigantic a Disney film? I know that's been cancelled.
Gigantic. Has it been cancelled?
It's either been cancelled or completely postponed indefinitely. One or the other. I have to double check that. But that was Disney. That wasn't Pixar, was it?
Yeah, no, that was Disney Studios.
Oh, if I put in Gigantic...
My computer's trying to restart, and I don't want it to.
If I look up Gigantic on Wikipedia, I get a 2008 independent comedy film starring Paul Dano and Zooey Deschanel and John Goodman.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I was excited for Gigantic. I'm sad to hear it's canceled.
Yeah, there was cool concept art for it.
Yeah.
1 second. Disney film. I'm gonna Google it instead. Gigantic Disney film. Okay. It was cancelled in October 2017.
Damn. Okay. Well, I mean that's fair. Frozen 2 will be out and make $3 billion. So.
But yeah, announced at D23 in August 2015 with music by Kristen Anderson Lopez. It had directors. It was going to be co-directed by Meg LeFou, who worked on Inside Out.
Yeah. And I think she either wrote she's doing Captain Marvel.
Gigantic was actually meant to be out November 2018, but then it was replaced by Wreck-It Ralph 2. Then it was delayed for a 2020 release, and then it was just pulled from the slate. So, that's disappointing.
Well, we've just gone on 3 hours. Thanks to all our listeners who've stuck with us this whole time. We really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. So, yes. Only one question left. Although there is another one we might want to. I'll run it past you guys if we want to do it, because it marks a cultural anomaly in Movie Mania. But we'll get to that. Matthew Mann says, "Question: what is your favorite social media platforming websites?" Well, me. It is, apart from YouTube, Discord. Oh, thank you, Sam. Right on time. You put in the Discord link. Yes. Everyone check out the Discord.
Good God. How shameless.
We're gonna brainstorm.
I mean, I applaud it. I really do. But my God.
You just don't like my segue. That's all it is.
You caught me Monica Luging.
So okay. But let me ask you guys. Ampwitch just put up a question then, and we don't have to answer it, because I just realized he asked the question, and it just occurs to me, in every single Movie Mania live stream and Movie Mania's podcast, we have always had a rant about Star Wars. We have not done that this episode. I think this might be the first episode that we have not ranted about Star Wars. Now, if I ask this question, it will lead to a rant. So should we make history and not talk about Star Wars, or do you want me to ask the question?
Well, I think it's in keeping that most of the world has already forgotten and moved on from Solo or Star Wars stories, so we should probably do the same.
What do you reckon, Trey?
I'm so done with debating about what Last Jedi did. I liked the movie, and that's it. I'll be honest.
And I think after the whole Kelly Marie Tran thing, Star Wars discussion is just not fun anymore.
Piss off, guys. She wasn't good in the movie. Who cares? Don't harass people like that. What do you want? Oh my God, man, that's awful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
I'm biting my tongue because I don't want us to go into that. So yes, we've had history. We did not argue about Star Wars, and that's great, because I want Star Wars to die. So wonderful. Thank you.
You can do it next week when I'm not on the podcast. But I'm not finding Star Wars discussion that fun anymore. At least not at the moment.
Yeah, me neither. But Ampwitch, I will answer your question in the chat once we're done.
If I may, real quick before we end the show here, what Disney ought to do, by the way, is you go dark for 6, 7, 8 months. You drop a title in early January for episode 9, and then you release your trailer at Celebration come April, and that's your job now. Your job is damage control and make sure episode 9 is the best thing ever. JJ's got so much pressure again, and it's hilarious that like he thought he was done, and then they brought him back in. But yeah, that being said, should we end the show here? We're done with that.
Okay. Unless there's any more questions, but.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for watching / listening. Thank you everyone who tuned into the live stream. Thank you everyone who did the super chats. You were all wonderful. This week we talked The Incredibles and all the trailers that came out this week. Join us next week when we talk Incredibles 2 in spoilerific detail. Trilbee, have a happy birthday whenever that might be in the next couple of days.
I'm going trampolining in 5 hours.
Absolutely. Where can people find you?
Video, or it didn't happen.
Yeah, you'll be able to find me trampolining on Twitter at Trilbee Reviews, on my website at www.trilbee.com. I'm doing regular movie reviews again on my YouTube, Trilbee Reviews. I've recently reviewed Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, Cargo, and this Wednesday my review for my 10-minute review, which is essentially half of it is Elton John puns. You'll find that on Wednesday. Check that out. And also on my Mr. Titus Reviews YouTube channel. We're expecting a Doctor Who trailer to drop over the next couple of weeks or the next month or two, maybe during the World Cup. We don't know. There's rumors. So if you want my thoughts on that, you'll find that on my YouTube.
What a British thing to do. I'm going to drop the Doctor Who trailer in the World Cup.
Well, they dropped the Jodie Whittaker announcement after a Wimbledon game, and they were like, "Oh, it'll probably," but they said, "Oh, it'll probably drop around 3 or 4 o'clock after the match." But because I forget who was playing, it was like the #1 tennis player in the world. He was so great at the game, and he thrashed his opponent so much they actually played the trailer like 4 or 5 hours early because the game ended so quickly. So that was funny. But anyway, Bandit, where can everybody find you online?
People can find me on YouTube, editing a trampoline under the thumbnail of Trilbee's character for this podcast, as well as putting a brick in the hand of my character. They can find me here on YouTube. They can also find me on Twitter and Facebook as Bandit Incorporated. Where can people find you, Trey?
He remembered. He went to Jared. No, they can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Podcast Media. Currently working on different. Yes.
Before we go, I need to check if the mouse was caught.
Yes. We need to know.
Set up some payoffs. Okay. All right. I'm gonna give. I'll plug my plugs while he's doing that.
If it's dead, he has to show us on the camera. Because remember last time he turned on his camera, I want to see that dead mouse.
I'm very disappointed. The mouse has not sprung any of the traps. It's probably asleep behind the fridge or something.
No. I was hoping you'd show us a dead mouse. You'd switch on your camera and be like,
Marmite will live another night.
Do you want me to add the mouse in the thumbnail?
No.
Monty.
You could. No, in the thumbnail for the Incredibles Photoshop job you've done, just put the Ratatouille rat in the corner or something.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay,
I have power.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the ending for you. Go ahead, Trey. It's your thing.
No, I think catch you all later, our movie maniacs. Let's go home.
Bye-bye.